Welcome back to Tales Arcane and to the first episode of the first ever Tales Arcane actual play campaign on the channel. This is a self-contained mini-campaign taking place in the Heroes of the Highlands campaign setting, which is essentially my version of Fantasy Scotland. When we find our players, they are already travelling together as a party, having met recently, become friends and decided to travel together since they're all heading towards the capital city for their own personal reasons. Now, quick disclaimer, we did record a short session 0 to kick the campaign off, but the audio from 2 of the players was really poor in that first session. In all subsequent sessions, the audio from everyone is great, so I decided to can the session 0 and start here. In session 0, our party passed through the village of Valach, where they saw a father and daughter being attacked by knights from the Order of the Silver Thistle. Our heroes leapt into action, killed the knights and saved the father and daughter.
Yeah, I just want to hold this guy underwater while just like pummeling his face in between turns.
After the battle, the father, Patrick, explained his situation to the players. His wife is a werewolf, though she's never done anyone any harm, and she is now a prisoner of the Order of the Silver Thistle, a group of lichen-hunting knights. He begged the players to save Camellia before she is executed in the coming days. As tonight's session begins, we find our players on the road to the town of Lochilvin, where Camellia is being held captive and where the players plan to stage a daring rescue. There's a short recap in the episode itself, but those are the broad strokes. This whole adventure has already been recorded and edited, so I'll be uploading an episode every week from now until the end of November. Throughout the campaign, I try to make it feel as much as possible just like a normal campaign in my home game. It's not particularly flashy, it should just feel like you're sitting in at my table with my friends playing some D&D, and I hope that's as much fun for you as it has been for us. Enjoy. Welcome back to Tales Arcane and to another episode of Heroes of the Highlands, the first ever live play D&D campaign that we're running on the channel. We are going to pick up where we left off last session, and before we go further, I just want to give a quick shout out to Jessica Bowen, who did the wonderful character art that you're seeing on screen right now, to Nerdius Maximus Studios, who provided the music for tonight, and to Incarnate, with whom we create the maps for the show. Incarnate is not a sponsor, as I feel duty bound to say. I just use their products religiously. Tonight we have Louis playing Boglach, we have Sarah playing Zell, and of course we have Cal playing Galoot. Now, before we go further, let's just cover a quick recap of last week's events. Our heroes met by a twist of fate in the Calarian Highlands, and realizing that all three had business in the city of Dunarden, they decided to continue their journey together. On their way, they passed through the village of Valach, where they met a young girl and her father. The girl was a werewolf, and her mother Camellia, who also carries the curse of lycanthropy, had been arrested by the Knights of the Silver Thistle. These lichen-hunting knights have taken over the nearby town of Lochilvin, and are now interrogating Camellia, though her execution is surely imminent. The girl and her father begged our heroes to intervene, both to save Camellia and the town of Lochilvin. It seems that Camelia's werewolf brother is on his way to Lochilvin himself, leading a pack of lichens, and if she is dead when he arrives, the town's population will be slaughtered. Our heroes now head for Lochilvin, hoping to free Camellia from the Knights of the Silver Thistle before a pack of vengeful werewolves descend upon the town. Okay, let's begin. We pick up our session tonight a few hours after the bold heroes acquired their mission for the coming days. You, having just spoke with Patrick and his daughter, you set off in search of Camellia, the lichen, the inoffensive lichen who seems to have been captured by the Knights of the Silver Thistle. You've been travelling throughout the day, heading westward, skirting the town of Valach and retracing your steps. At Valach, you take the road running north, heading into an area of the country that you have not explored before yourselves. And you know that travelling and then resting tonight, you will be able to reach the town of Lochilvin tomorrow, probably in the sort of middle afternoon. You also know that you don't have a great deal of time to free Camellia from the dungeons. At this point, arriving around mid-afternoon tomorrow, you'll have an afternoon, an evening, and then the following day and then the following night is when Camelia's brother, the werewolves from Cairnbarra Hills, are going to come galloping down and slaughter the town of Lochilvin, unless you have freed Camellia by that point. And so as we begin, our companions have taken a brief rest by the road, weary from the travel and from the combat you experienced back in the town of Valach. You've stepped off into a sort of grove clearing to the side of the road, where a few old standing stones, now partially tumbled and covered in moss and ivy, ring an area where the trees do not grow, although it is covered by a canopy of branches and foliage overhead. This seems like the perfect camping spot for the night, and you can tell that other people have thought the same thing. There's the remains of a fire pit in the centre. It looks like this is probably a regular stopping point for merchants and mercenaries on this road, although tonight it is unoccupied. As you head in to set camp, how would you all individually go about the process of making camp for the night?
Glut's immediate protocol is to build a fire.
Absolutely. Do you want to gather wood from the surrounding area, or do you have any on you already?
Glut would just get diplomacy from off their back and just start like hammering like one of the big trees. Like,
Can you
not
remind
that
us what diplomacy is?
diplomacy is the name of my like big two-handed greatsword, which is like maybe about 6 inches smaller than what Glut is tall. So it almost drags across the floor when it's like holstered on our back.
You pull that sword down, and what are you doing with it?
So I'm just gonna start like try to chop down a tree like a lumberjack. Like there's like sticks and twigs about, which would be much more efficient for firewood, but Glut's gonna go for like a sort of skinny-ish tree and just try and fell it, and then use that for firewood.
Can you give me a survival check as you try this unusual method of firewood gathering?
Yeah, that's a 13.
That'll do. You start chopping in. It's not the cleanest job. It's almost more like you're just kind of like splintering, hacking branches off and kind of hacking through. Are you trying to cut the whole tree down?
I want to get it to a point where I've put a good bit of a good indentation into it. Then I feel like Glut would get too impatient, rage, and then try and like spear the tree, like rugby tackle into it to try and knock it down.
You cut, almost perhaps unintentionally, you cut like quite a clean wedge into one side of the tree as a lumberjack would getting ready to fell it. But then as that wedge gets about kind of like halfway through, you just feel this like, this is taking too long. Are you just wanting to like run straight at the tree?
Yeah, I'll rage. I'll be like, why is it not fucking down yet? And like just like sprint at it head first.
Your companions look around and see this small dwarven figure just storming towards the tree, slamming into it. Can you give me a straight athletics check?
Yes, I can. That is a 25.
Oh, beautiful. Your shoulder just slams into the side of it, and you're able to hit it at such an angle that you don't really do any damage to yourself. You just put your not particularly substantial weight behind this tree, but you're able to hit it with such force that the tree kind of creaks forward on that wedge that you've already cut out of it and comes crashing down, partially kind of like getting caught on one of these standing stones and then kind of shearing off to the side. Your companions watch as this tree, crumples to the earth next to you. It actually forms kind of a partial barrier off to the side of the road, giving you a bit of additional kind of cover between you and the highway nearby. As you finish chopping that down and start kind of collecting this very accessible now source of timber, we jump over to Boglach. How are you preparing for the camp?
I think Boglach was probably gathering some, twigs and sticks, and then sort of looked over at Glut and is like, I guess that's one way to do it. We'll kind of pull them down, and seeing that Glut's got the fire taken care of, will... I don't know. Maybe start putting out bedrolls. Hopefully we have enough rations. If not, might go to see if there's any sort of foraging Boglach might be able to do, just to some taste to the evening.
Yeah, you've got basic rations, but you could glance around and try to find some extra stuff. Kind of how do you want to approach that? Are you using your knowledge of the natural world to know kind of like where to look for stuff, or are you kind of going on your sort of instinct as someone who's spent a lot of time in the countryside?
I think Boglach's probably gone out a few kind of independent journeys and has had to kind of camp and forage around, so if there's any berries or...
In that case, give me a survival check.
No problem. Survival 20. Dirty 20.
Fantastic. Get all the good rolls out now for the camping sequence. You very quickly dart away from the main kind of campsite, and you find that growing seemingly in where the sort of shadiest patch is, where the shade has been falling from the old mossy standing stones, you find these beautiful edible mushrooms that are growing, large kind of yellowy orange mushrooms that you know have a very rich kind of oaky, nutty flavour added to a stew or just kind of crumbled over the top. You're able to pluck quite a healthy bunch of these, enough to use for tonight and then enough for a subsequent night as well.
Amazing. Yeah, I'll gather them up and head back to our camp.
As you're heading back to the camp, Zell, what are you up to?
I feel Zell will have had a very similar reaction to Glute's actions as Boglach. Like, she's very much getting to the point where she's no longer remotely surprised by anything that Glute does. So instead we'll have opted to do the same and forage around. She might have a look and see if there are any kind of woodland animals nearby, to see if they could get some meat for some kind of a stew that they can make.
You start kind of glancing around. Give me either investigation or survival.
I'll go for investigation.
You start
24.
casting around these rolls. You start looking around, rather than kind of like you're relying less on your knowledge and your kind of skills as a hunter or as a sort of an expert in the forested landscape, and more just on your keen eyesight as you look for any kind of places, indentations, tracks. You're able to follow these tracks, and you find that there appears to be a rabbit's burrow quite nearby, just up sort of maybe one or two trees into the forest away from the camp and the road.
Perfect. I don't actually have any like traps or anything, but I mean, I could have her use. Well, she'd have to wait for it to come out, but
you could rig a small kind of trap with twigs and leaves from the surrounding area if you like. There's probably enough detritus for that.
Okay, yeah. Let's say if she does that, she's gonna make a trap for it when it gets out, and then she can check it later to see if she's
amazing.
Caught one.
For that, give me a survival check as well. Got a lot of survival going on here.
Do. Oh no. Oh, 22.
Incredible.
Not
You develop this beautiful little kind of delicate trap where with a little kind of fragment of fresh carrot from your pack, from some of the vegetables that you've been carrying, it's just sitting right in the center of this trap, a little trigger point where if the rabbit walks over it will spring and just kind of very humanely snap down on it. You're close enough that you'll probably hear that if it snaps during the night.
Perfect. Yeah, then she's gonna head back to the camp.
At this point, you've kind of made a very good job of this camp. You've got a fire crackling away with the firewood gathered by Glute. You've got dinner on the way in the form of this rabbit soon to be caught, and you've got a beautiful rich, flavorful mushroom to add in to add a bit of flavor to what might otherwise be quite sort of gamey meat. And before too long, you hear that sort of sound just distantly, like a little stick kind of coming through the air, going over. You find a quite scrawny looking little rabbit. You get the impression that this isn't a kind of a forest where there's the winter is almost not that long receded from this forest. You get the sense that some of the animals are still recovering from a long winter. But there's still enough meat on this thing that you're able to take it back, clean it down, get that in a pot bubbling away with some herbs, and of course with the mushrooms, creating quite a pleasant stew. As you guys settle down, is there anything else you want to do this evening? Anything you want to find out from each other?
Glut would not eat the rabbit. Glut would decline and eat their bloodstained bread that they had from earlier.
How does Glut seem about the rabbit being caught?
Glut is you can tell that they are very quiet and like reserved into themselves ever since they saw the rabbit, like the dead rabbit.
You notice perhaps that Glut is a little bit quieter than usual, but then you never know with Glut what's kind of like whirring.
Yeah, I don't
inside
think
her
I'd
head.
say anything about it just yet, but yeah, Glut isn't. You can tell that Glut isn't happy about the dead rabbit.
Okay.
But they wouldn't make a scene about it.
think if Boglach did notice, would offer like, I don't know, maybe if we'd made just one pot, kind of look quite embarrassed and like quickly try and make like a second pot of just mushroom stuff.
Nah. Glut is more than happy with bloodstained bread. Glut, yeah, I'm still eating that with relish.
The Boglach sort of finishes making the kind of mushroom only stew, and it's like, I mean, you were had a lot of exertion in that previous battle, and we've been traveling a lot. You should get something. That bread does look rich in iron, but it doesn't seem to have all the nutrients that you need.
All right, Bog, like, well, you know what? I really appreciate you putting in this extra effort, and then Glut will take the bowl and start eating like the stew with their hands, just like dipping the hand under the bowl and just like, yeah, with like a really loud like noise with every single one.
Well, that's just like continues holding the spoon. It's like,
yeah,
that's one way to do it.
yeah, it's,
yeah,
like it's very, nature's instruments and all of that.
No, but Glut is very. I would feel very touched by the kind gesture though. So that would definitely lift my spirits a little bit.
And you notice that Boglach does like this kind act, and then as soon as like, I don't know, it keeps going, just kind of goes, "Well," and just walks away like very quickly. Like, doesn't stick around long for like. If you're starting to look touched or like, I don't know, happy in any way, Boglach's like, well, I better go and get more wood, and just like walks off. not too fond of the closeness.
Touchy-feely. Zelle's probably just kind of watching it all happen and idly reading a book if she can.
Is there
still light enough?
What is this book on the subject of?
Well, if you remember when we were in Harwick, she picked up a couple of Logath's books, so she will be leafing through them with great interest.
Absolutely. Can you give me an investigation check as you're doing that?
Yeah. 10.
10. You kind of like skim through. You're seeing interesting stuff in there, but it's not stuff you kind of don't know already. You come across an interesting part which talks about the fact that the book you're kind of skimming through seems to be a history of the Lantrician Empire and its occupation in the past of the Highlands before it was sort of driven off by Clan Kilferson. And you kind of feel that you're sort of covering old ground here, but there's almost something kind of comforting in reading what you've read in so many different texts and books over the years, the sort of classic historical account of the uprising against Lantris and the final battle where Grand Kilferson defeated the Lantrician army and cast them out. As you're drifting through that book, you hear the distant sound of kind of like tinkling, almost like pots and pans sort of clattering against each other in the distance. And after a few moments, you see a figure coming from the road, laden under a heavy backpack, covered in way more pots and pans than any one person would need to cook. All the kind of bits of metal clunking against each other. You can see multiple sort of rolls of fabric. This appears to be someone heavily burdened. This quite kind of like hunched over little dwarven figure steps into the ring of light from the fire and goes, "Hello there, good evening. I wonder if you might have a place at your fire for a weary traveller."
Of course, yeah, more the merrier.
"Oh, splendid. You're too kind. I knew I could rely on that Highland hospitality." And he heaves this huge pack off. It comes down with a clunk on the ground. You can hear things rattling around inside it. You can see he's quite well dressed. He's dressed like someone who knows how to dress for the road and has enough money to buy like good quality equipment for travel. He kind of dusts himself down and sits down beside the fire and goes, "Have you eaten already?"
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, first of all, Zelle's gonna put her book away and she's gonna say, "That's quite some pack you have there."
"Oh, well, of course it is. It is my wares. I always travel with my wares in case I meet a customer at any time. Some merchants send their wares on by carriage, but not I. I like to be close to the action, you see." Polaric
Wait,
Kynes, by the way. Pleasure to meet you.
When they mention that they're a merchant, you can see that like Gloat's ears sort of perk up, and eyeing him with like a not quite suspicion, but with like trepidation. I'm just like, so what are your wares, good sir?
Oh, well, I have a great many things. I have, obviously, fine silks, perfumes, and spices. I have all of the cooking utensils you might need. You'll be surprised how many times you meet people on the road who didn't pack a pan. Of course, I also have a variety of other things. Dyes, jewellery, if that's your interest. I have a couple of smaller items of weaponry, knives, but on the sort of thing you might need for a hunting expedition rather than battle, which looking at you and your accoutrement, I think might be more your wheelhouse. Are you looking for anything in particular, my friend?
Yeah, do you have any bear traps?
Bear traps? Ooh, you know what? I think I might. Hang on. And he goes over, he comes back from his pack after a few moments with quite a small, elegant trap, which looks like it could be for a bear, but is also more likely to be for other animals as well, like wolves or even like a large rabbit. Just kind of like a snapjaw one. He goes, I have this. It might be a little small for a bear, but if the bear is small enough, I'm sure it would do the trick.
Oh, do you mind if I can just like test its authenticity?
Oh, of course. If you have a stick or something, you would pop in there. He puts it down, kind of like cranks it open.
Gloat immediately shoves their hand on like the locking mechanism, so it just like shuts around their arm.
No! Oh, gods above! What have you done? And he jumps forward and kind of like pries it open. He goes, I'm so sorry. Have you never seen how one of these works before?
No, I'm something of a bear trap. What's the word?
Expert?
I'm a bit of a bear trap person myself. And I check out like the ones on my arm. Like, how much damage does this bear trap deal? This small bear trap.
Because it is quite small, it only does 3 piercing damage.
Okay. Not, you know what? Not bad. Not bad. I've had worse ones, but it's got a bit of a nip to it. How much?
Polric's eyes kind of like wander up over the many markings from the other bear traps you've encountered over your years and goes, I can see you're something of a seasoned bear trapper. For this, I'd be happy to pass it off for, I'd say, 5 copper pieces.
5 copper pieces, my friend. You must be having a laugh. Try 8 copper pieces.
Oh, well, if you're so enamored with its quality, I would not be the one to turn you down. 8 copper pieces seems like a fair price.
8 copper pieces for this. Okay, my friend. We're talking at least a silver at this point.
Oh, now, my friend. I think I see how this negotiation is going, and I will stop you there. I won't sell it for anything less than a gold piece.
Anything like a gold, a whole gold piece. Fine. Double it. Last offer.
You know
2
what?
gold.
I'll take it. 2 gold
Okay.
for this small bear trap.
With like blood still like leaking down my hand from like the little puncture wounds that are just above my wrist from the tiny bear trap, I shove out my hand.
He pauses for a moment, and then with great enthusiasm, the thought of the 2 gold pieces in his mind, reaches out, takes your hand, shakes it warmly. A pleasure doing business with you. You know, it's unusual for me to see one of my own kind on the road.
Sir, sorry if you might be confused, but are you not dwarven?
I am. I'm one of the underfolk.
Okay, yeah, I get this a lot. I'm actually a gnome.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, don't worry. I get it all the time.
Kind of looks you up and down, kind of a look of confusion passing over his face, and he goes,
No, he looks straight up. I'm probably like a good like almost half a foot taller than him.
well, you know what? I beg your pardon, Miss Gnome. My apologies, my mistake. You know, my eyesight not what it used to be, I must say.
It happens a lot. And honestly, after talking you down for 2 gold pieces for that bear trap, I understand why you would think me more wily than the stereotypical traits of dwarves.
course. Yes, you drive a hard bargain, but I
that,
know what I'm
I
beat.
do. That I always do.
Is there anything I can sell to you, fine folks? He turns to your companions.
I like go and whisper over just to put my go. He's a bit of a sucker.
I think Boglack will, while this is happening, have gone to their pack and bring out a kind of half bottle of the second most expensive wine from the tavern in Harwick. I'll,
Second
pass it over
cheapest.
to Glut. Second, I thought it was second most expensive.
Second cheapest, but
Always
remember
second cheapest.
we also found
Second
out that he
cheapest.
was just selling everything as the second cheapest. So really,
It's true, actually. Boglack takes out the second most expensive and then goes, wait, which one? No. Takes out the second cheapest, we'll hand it to Glut, and then we'll go forward and go. It's quite a good deal you got there for the bear trap. I mean, maybe you'd want to throw in some stuff to go alongside it. Just seeing as it went from 5 copper pieces to 2 gold.
Can you give me an intimidation check? Not a super high DC.
Oh, that's a nat 1.
Oh! A look of sort of perfect innocence passes over Polrit's face, and he goes, "Oh, well, I mean, I think the deal is closed on the matter of the bear trap, but I'd be more than happy to strike a bargain with yourself. I see you have the look of the druid around you."
Black sort of can't get a read on this individual, and kind of is like stumbling over words, and is like, yeah, I'm a druid. The deal's not.
a deal is never closed. Zell's gonna say, interjecting.
Ah, well, I suppose I could, I could certainly find you both a bargain in light of the good fortune I've already had tonight by running into you all.
That would be good.
Yeah, I think that would. You see Boglack trying to be intimidating again, and it's just like continuing to stumble over words. Almost intimidated himself by the cold-heartedness of this salesperson.
Well, I have. You know what? I'm on my way from Lochilvin, and while there, I picked up the most delightful little trinket, something that I think you might find quite useful out in the wilds. Which way are you headed, by the way? Towards Lochilvin or away?
Funny enough, we're going towards Lochilvin.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I hope you have better luck there than I. Let me see now. Where is it? He starts rummaging.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, I fell foul of some of the authoritative types in Lochilvin, and I had to pack up and move on, as they say. I never stay long in any one place. My offices are down in Lantris, but I had planned to stay a little longer, but that's how it goes.
That wouldn't be the Silver Thistle, would it?
Why, yes, the Silver Thistle. You've heard of them?
We have heard of them, yeah. What's the situation in Lochilvin with them? We'd heard they'd kind of started running the place.
I'm afraid so. They have no official capacity there, and yet they seem to be wielding as much power, if not more, than Lord Kelmar himself. They rolled in about a month or so ago. At first, they were just, wandering knights, setting up in one town and moving on to the next, but then they decided to stick around. Apparently, they had some business in town, and they were made guests of the Lord at Castle Lochilvin, and before long, they seemed to be running the place. Some of their guards started replacing the city watch. Some of their higher officers started sitting in on the assizes, passing judgment on the local folk. Between ourselves, and I speak this in confidence, Lord Kelmar is somewhat a soft touch, shall we say, easily influenced, and I fear that they have influenced him.
That's interesting. And when you say you ran afoul of them, what happened? Are they...
I made the mistake of speaking my mind, shall we say. I'm a merchant, and I enjoy the stability of a town well run. I found that an air of fear and oppression had descended on Lochilvin, and I might have said as much once I was a few pints deep at the Bloody Claymore. Admittedly, I suppose someone heard me and passed that on, and I was told in no uncertain terms to be on my way the next day.
Wow, that's so. What's the general atmosphere with the locals? I mean, are they for the Silver Thistle? Are they? How are they finding it?
Most, as far as I can tell, are against. The Silver Thistle are brutish authoritarians, and they don't really look kindly on the kind of free-spirited folk who dwell here in this part of the land. But there are some among the population who seem to have taken to informing on their neighbours. The threat of retribution or the promise of gold can be very compelling, and there is an air, I think, of paranoia that, while most folk you speak to are more than happy to speak their mind and say that they find the presence of the Silver Thistle distasteful, there are potentially some among the populace who would side with him, who would pass on information. We had a terrible incident not that long ago, a couple of days ago. Some rumour went around, probably entirely unfounded, that one of the locals was a werewolf. Before long, the Silver Thistle descended on their residence, and I dragged her off in chains. Terrible business. She was a mother.
It sounds awful.
Well, like I say, I'm quite happy to be gone. Sorry to see the business unfolding as it is, but, well, I can only hope that the folk of Lochilvin, in due course, are freed of this or rise up and free themselves. It's a bad business.
Sure.
Thank you. That was really interesting, actually. It'll be good for us to know, just as we're going there, that we should be careful about what we say and to who.
Yes, it's always best to be diplomatic in one's words. I'll tell you who you can rely on. The personal friend of mine, the tavern keeper at the Bloody Claymore, while his customers, well, I can't speak for them, but Jack Kilfane, certainly a reliable fella.
Amazing, thank you. We'll definitely visit the tavern.
A fun fact about Jack Kilfane, he happens to be second cousin to the chieftain of Clan Kilfane. Not an active member of the clan, but, not a far distant relative.
That is interesting.
I heard of this individual by any chance?
Of the chieftain or of Jack Kilfane?
Jack Kilfane.
Give me just a wee history check.
I believe that's the clan that I was a part of to the north, yeah?
You were Keldonis in the north.
Oh,
but
I'm getting
not that
confused
far
with...
from Clan Kilfane.
Yes, I'm getting confused with the roots of clan.
Uh,
I don't think I would know that individual then.
Just give me a history check anyway as you kind of ponder this, just to see, because like I said, the lands that your clan are from are basically just to the north of where the Kilfane lands are.
And that was a history check, you said?
Yeah.
It's a 9. I think given how kind of isolated and kind of to themselves my clan is at times, we don't hear much about others unless they're causing us problems or helping us in some way.
Yeah, and I imagine coming down, you would have probably kind of like stayed in the slightly more rural lands and kind of skirted the Kilfane area altogether, so nothing really picked up. The merchant kind of like sits back against his pack and goes, now, if you have already eaten, no problem, but have you already drunk?
Since the moment it was pulled out, you can see Glut just like hungrily eyeing up the bottle of second cheapest wine.
What vintage is that?
We just picked this up in a tavern. I don't know if we would know exactly what vintage it is.
I'll be honest with you. Let me have a sniff of it.
It's over.
Who's it? Smells like rat piss. No, honestly, good stuff, I've no doubt. But what about this? What about a bottle of the finest Amberlance Red, an oaken vintage from the year of the seven-headed rat?
Sounds divine.
Well, let me pour you. Don't worry, I've got some cups here. He pulls out some little brass kind of travelling cups and hands them out. There. splash that all around. I must say I appreciate a bit of company on the road, and I just hope you have more luck in Lochilvin than I. It's a good town, good people, you know.
It sounds like it's been a bit rough there for a little while now with the Silver Thistle.
Yes, I hope eventually Clan Kilmar steps in and casts them out. But Clan Kilmar will be receiving reports from Lord Kilmar, and of course Lord Kilmar is now fully under their thumb. So, for the time being, I don't see any help forthcoming from the main clan. But, yeah, it is what it is. What is your business in the town?
Oh, just passing through.
We're saving the dreams of a child.
Oh, tell me more.
There's a child, and you might not have heard of this, but her mum is accused of being a werewolf and has been thrown in jail, and we're going to break her out of jail.
Little Rona, Patrick's
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Ah, goodness me. Oh, that's the woman of whom I spoke, Camellia. She was, I didn't know them well, but I sold them a couple of bolts of cloth for... That's a hell of a thing. You're on your way to try and negotiate for her release?
No, we're going to break her out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
may involve negotiation and not.
It will not.
farming.
It will not involve
Glitch,
negotiation.
it may. I mean,
It may. We don't know what the situation's going to be like until we get there.
We're a tad
Okay.
outnumbered. But,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's when it gets fun.
You are
Okay.
a tad outnumbered. Don't
How
worry.
many? So how outnumbered would you say?
As far as I'm aware, there's around 15 members, sworn members of the Silver Thistle. They have others, but they usually go out on some kind of missions to other parts of the land. The main cohort that seem to be there number around 15. But they've started roping in a few of the locals, a few of the guards. I've even seen a couple of the City Watch wearing the Silver Thistle as opposed to the colours of Clan Kilmar. So their numbers may have swollen beyond 15. Of course, there are also the house guards of Clan Kilmar and a number of other heavily armoured individuals who are now under their control.
We have worked with a Kilmar before.
Who was that?
Logith?
Logith.
I believe I've heard of Lochilvin. Fine fellow. Not, I must say, a cut above the Dan Kilmar.
Yeah. So we're hoping that might be an inn, but we'll just have to see what the situation's like when we get there.
Well, tread carefully, and if it does come to fisticuffs, to drawn blades, let me tell you, I won't be the only one who is wishing you all the best,
Thank
while
you.
also being very glad that I'm not involved.
Thank
Now,
you.
to your good health, and the success of your mission, and the salvation of Camellia.
Salvation of
I-
Camellia.
Cheers.
I'll cheers my glass and then pour the wine on my fresh bear trap wound.
That will absolutely cleanse it. I've no doubt. You pour this very good quality wine over your wound. You see, just over the rim of his glass, the dwarf kind of peering at you like that, and he goes, "2 gold pieces. It's fine." Tips it back.
Black will turn to the merchant and go, "Oh, my companion seems to have spilled their wine. If you could pour another cup, that would be most thankful."
I literally
Del's
have
drinking
no idea what
hers.
you're talking about. I use the wine for its intended purpose.
Yes. Oh, how about this? He puts the bottle down. He goes, "You polish it off. I've got to get some shut-eye, but I appreciate the fire, the company, and the conversation, so you help yourself."
Thank you. And it has been a good conversation.
If you ever find
Definitely.
yourself in the great city of Lantris, come seek me out. Kyne's Emporium.
Thank you.
Kyne's Emporium.
Kyne's Emporium, yes. I will be there, and if I'm not, then one of my assistants will be able to put you up and put you in touch with whoever you need to be in touch with. Lantris is one of the great cities of the world.
Great. If we're ever down that way, we'll definitely stop by and say hi.
He stretches to his feet, goes over to his pack, sits down and goes, "Well, good night." And his head just hits the pack, starts snoring audibly. There's like no turn off. He's just...
Zelle's a bit surprised by this because she has issues going to sleep at night. And she's just like, ugh. Fit has another glass of wine.
That'll help.
Glut will just swig a little bit of wine at the bottle, and then like the merchant, just like they're probably asleep before their head hits the pillow. Actually, not even the pillow, hits the mossy floor.
Are you sleeping rough?
Yeah.
You're not on a mat or anything. You're just lying in there.
Glut's not slept in a like whenever the Glut's been on the road. Glut's not slept on anything. It's not been hard ground for years.
Yeah, after a couple of glasses of wine, Zelle's gonna go to her bedroll and kind of tuck in, and maybe keep reading in the light of the fire until she falls asleep.
You curl up, and in the dwindling light of the fire, kind of pour over the few more pages. You can start to feel, with the aid of the wine, conversation, a long, tiring day, you can start to feel sleep creeping up. Boglach, what are you doing?
Think if Boglach is able to, knowing that they're going to be showing up at a town, we'll sort of write a quick letter and then go to bed as well.
You also kind of like crouching down by where the light of the fire is cast. You're able to write down a letter, fold that up, ready for postage when you get back into civilization. Get into your bedroll, and the night passes away as the fire begins to dwindle down. The stars twist overhead and gradually fade as the first light of dawn creeps in from the east as you awake. It's around about kind of like 5:30 to 6 in the morning. There's a damp mist in the air and a new day ahead of you.
All right, Glut wakes up, and obviously just after everyone's like, "Urgh," and like crunches their back to and from, and you just hear like a click, 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 as like all of their vertebrae just like pop as it just feel like that go like down their back, like audibly.
I think Boglach would already have been up, maybe waking up quite early. So the first sight you might see is Boglach kind of lightly frying up the rest of the mushrooms and like putting them over some bread, like getting breakfast ready.
Oh,
If in
Zell-
a squat over the fire, like proper comfort.
Zell will wake up with the smell of food and be like, "Oh, what's cooking? What are we doing?"
It's mushrooms on toast, nothing fancy.
Smells delicious. We should eat up before we go to town.
yeah, Glut would absolutely spank that, and then do the kind of like morning exercise routine, which is 100 squat jumps followed by 100 press ups followed by 100 sit ups followed by 100 jumping jacks, and do that 5 times in like 5 rounds of that with no rest in between.
As you're kind of like, cooking breakfast, stretching, and out of bed, just out the corner of your eye, you can just see this little figure just furiously going through their morning routine, kind of like grunting, panting, getting into it. You also notice that the dwarven merchant, Paulric, has headed off. The pack is gone. A little set of footprints wandering back down towards the main road. He must have slipped away just before the dawn. You do notice that lying where he is a little quite good quality bear trap, and with it a small note that says "buy one get one free," just kind of tapped on top of the bear trap.
Aww.
That was a nice merchant.
I test the integrity of the other bear trap and put my hand in it.
Snapshot. It's just as good as the other one, and
Yeah.
in fact, you take 2 points of piercing damage as this
Yeah,
trap snaps.
it's not as sore because the teeth sink into the existing bear trap wound I had from the last
Neatly.
night. Almost a perfect fit. Okay, and then I put in my pack, and if anyone else is watching, they see just like my pack literally contains nothing except for the assortment of random bear traps.
Suddenly, the strange clanking noises you've been hearing from Glut's pack make a bit more sense. Occasional snapping noises.
Quite a collection
Zelle's
I've got there,
gonna-
Glut.
Pack her stuff up.
Yeah, I just I like taking them, so I know they or they're safe with me.
Do you ever use them for hunting, or do you just
Of a sort, yes.
have a sword?
What
Yeah.
kind of hunting do you use them for?
And then I said, "That's not a dire wolf. That's my wife." I remember hearing someone say that at a tavern once, but he said something before which made it like infinitely funnier. But I kind of
I
forgot what the
think
first
you've
part
just
of that
got the
was.
punchline, which
No,
Yeah.
no, he wasn't fighting at the time. I think he was trying to tell a joke.
I think Boglak will just like confused whether Gloot's doing it slightly on purpose or whether she is just like kind of jumping between subjects, but we'll just drop the conversation about the bear traps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can tell that Glut is profusely sweating, even though they finished their exercises. They're sweating just as much as what they were when they were like in the middle of their intense exercise routine.
Yeah, Zell's probably gonna maybe stare at Gloot for a solid like 10 seconds, unblinking, and then just be like, maybe we should just pack up and go.
Yeah, I'll return the gaze, looking as guilty as can be, sweating profusely, but I also won't break eye contact. I'm like, and then yeah, then when you start getting ready, I'll pack up my extra 2 bear traps and polish off the rest of the mushrooms and bread.
Yeah, Zell's gonna eat her portion of that.
Sun is beginning to creep up now, the light in the sky. This sort of morning mist is burning off, but you can see on the horizon dark rain clouds kind of like building, and there's a generally overcast kind of feeling to the day. You can tell it's probably only going to get darker and colder as the day goes on and you journey on towards Lochilvin. When you're ready, you can set out on the road again and continue heading kind of northwest towards the town of Lochilvin and what awaits you there. Is there anything else you'd like to do on the road before you arrive at the town?
No, not for me. Zell's quite happy to just head into town.
Yeah, Glut's probably more just thinking about how they're gonna like break into this like high security facility.
Highly fortified castle.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Glut, in their mind, Glut is just gonna like walk in, ask the guards politely where she's kept, go to the gate, go to the cage, bust it open, and then walk out with her. And we'll be in and out in 10 minutes. Yeah, Glut fully expects in like 3 hours' time it'll be right as rain.
Zell has a different idea.
I was just gonna say, could I use Druidcraft, just the cantrip, just to kind of predict the weather, just when we're closer towards Lochilvin, what the weather will be the next like 24 hours?
Absolutely. How do you do that? Is it just a sense you have, or do you do a little ritual or anything?
Well, it seems to say it just manifests as like some kind of sensory effect. So, you know, I think, yeah, Boglak would just like maybe like create a small orb of energy, of any pebble-sized energy, kind of in the middle of his hands. Just sort of, I don't know, mainly trying to see if it's going to be overcast or raining. Just seeing if there's anything that if they were going to be breaking into any prisons, whether the weather would be on their side or whether it's going to be clear skies and kind of a little bit harder.
You get the impression as you cast Druidcraft and this kind of little swirling orb forms in your palm, you kind of look into that flowing orb of energy, like hovering just above your palm as you walk, and you see almost like the kind of like flickering patterns of clouds moving across the sky. You see it kind of growing darker, then you see almost the sort of streaks of rain almost running down the inside of the orb, and you get the strong impression that while for most of the day it's just going to be heavily overcast, as the sun sets, a heavy rainstorm is going to blow in.
I'll share this with the group as we walk and just say if everything was set and we were looking to break in, if that was a last resort, so to speak, then it might be a good night. I predict the weather for tomorrow yet, but
Good to know, good to know. I think we should go and speak to this tavern keeper before we do anything. He might give us a good idea of what things are like in the town, what's going on. Tavern keepers know everything.
I think that's a smart idea.
yep, I agree.
As you guys are...
Glut didn't listen to any of it. Glut's just mindlessly agreeing. They have their plan.
As you guys are getting gradually closer to the town, you do notice that the roads are getting busier. There occasionally a wagon will rattle by you, perhaps taking resources, timber, hay down into the direction of the town, or rattling away with an empty wagon. You notice that people have a slightly kind of, not a nervous air, but people are just quiet. You don't get a lot of people calling out to you on the road or saying hello or good morning as they pass. There's an air of just gloom and tension that hovers over the people you pass. As you get closer, you see the sort of hills around you that are heavily forested part, and you are looking down at a sort of low slope that runs down towards where the land rears up to a naturally occurring hill on the edge of what appears to be a wide, dark loch. This loch is ringed by trees and kind of stretches out, but before the loch rises the stone walls and the town of Lochilvin on a sort of low hill next to the loch. The town is it gives off the air under any circumstances and in any weather of being a dark and gloomy place. The exterior walls that curtain the edge of the town are dark stone, crumbling in many places, not particularly well maintained, swarmed over with ivy and vines. You can see, rising at strange angles, the dark slate roofs of the buildings inside kind of jutting this way and that, as if some of the buildings are almost leaning against each other for support. Looking towards the back of the town, where the town meets the loch, you see that the land rises still further, and you notice the imposing dark mass of grey stone that can only be Lochilvin Castle, this quite archaic looking castle with high ramparts and sort of tall towers lancing up over the town. This castle gives off the impression of a kind of gloomy presence watching over the town below, keeping an eye on the residents. And you can see a gatehouse down below you where the road kind of runs into this natural valley and then up into the hill, up through this gate and into the town.
So do you guys
Pleasant
think
town
that's what we
sounding.
need to break into? Pointing at like the big castle in the distance.
I'm guessing that is it, but I think we should probably stay quiet about that, just in case we bump into any of those people who are informers for the Silver Thistle. I don't want to fail before we even begin.
Yeah, but the guards probably know the best way in, so you should probably ask them first.
I think maybe we should talk to. No,
Let's go
the
talk
tavern
to
keeper.
Jack, the tavern keeper, first, and see what he says.
Okay, I'm just saying, I think a guard would know best on how to break into the thing that he guards.
Yeah, but he probably will also stop us from breaking into the thing that he guards.
I was going to say it's not too bad an idea, though.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Could
but
ask the.
you guys are smart. Maybe you could, like, I don't know, socially manipulate him into giving us that information. I can
Yeah,
be a
'cause
fairly
Boglach is
convincing if
real
I need to be,
intimidating.
as I, like, crack my knuckles.
I usually am. It's just there was a long day yesterday, and no. But I was going to say it's not too bad an idea if we talk to this tavern keeper. Maybe they do know one or two guards that against this. I mean, that's what the merchant was saying. At least seems like.
That is a really good point, actually. Yeah, if we could get somebody on the inside. But look, guys, this is what I'm kind of imagining. We need to like pose as guards. If we could get our hands on any Silver Thistle uniforms, we could just walk right in.
Oh, I could probably procure us a few uniforms.
How?
Let's just go see Jack first. I'm gonna get the old meat cube working. And you can see that as Glut starts thinking, they begin just like profusely sweating again. That like this mental exertion is actually probably more intense on their cardiovascular system than all of the exercises they done this morning. So as we're like walking through town, it's just you guys, and I'm just profusely sweating, like puddles on the floor behind me.
Zell's just like, I'm gonna let you ruminate on that, and then walk to the tavern.
Yeah, following behind, totally lost in my own thought.
You set off down the road into this kind of naturally occurring dip between the forested hills and the hill that the town is built on. Climb back up the road. You're kind of moving between crowds of people passing by, carriages, the occasional line of what appear to be just local kind of like city guards, civilian kind of guards marching in and out. You notice that there are two people standing by the gate. One is, by the looks of it, just a standard city guard wearing padded leather armour with a few kind of like metal plates over the shoulders that look like they wouldn't really be able to ward off much of an attack. He's an older gentleman with grizzled grey hair and kind of just almost the stubble of a couple of nights without shaving or sleeping very well over his face. And standing on the other side of the gate, with a much more imperious air, is someone in a familiar red cloak and dark armor. You can tell that this is immediately one of the Knights of the Silver Thistle. And he, with a far more imperious air, is kind of accosting people as they go by, checking people's bags, occasionally sliding a dagger into a sack of grain to make sure it definitely does contain grain, seemingly quite enjoying himself as he is in charge here. He appears to be a quite young half-orc gentleman with sort of short tusks and bright amber eyes. He looks up as you're kind of approaching. You can see that if you're passing by through the gate, he will probably accost you.
I have maybe, while we were walking, maybe tried to gather some berries or something and squeeze the juice into the empty bottle of Amberlance that we got.
Absolutely. On the road throughout the day, you've probably been picking up blackberries from the side of the road and kind of like crushing them up, quite pulpy, into the interior of the bottle.
Yeah, just almost, even if it was just some water in it and then just kind of dyed with like squeezing some blackberries and cranberries and just to make it look kind of
Winey.
wine-like.
Yeah, well,
And
you've
I'll
got
try
like
and force the cork back in.
you're like the dregs of the wine from last night, plus mulched up blackberries, plus some stream water creates. As long as you don't look too closely, it looks like a pretty decent bottle of wine.
It could work as a bribe. Don't like how that so's accosting people, but often bullies like to be felt like they're being groveled to, so
Yeah, made to
get
feel
them
important. They love that.
yeah, like, oh, we brought this all the way for you, like, we're such big fans.
Of the Silver Thistle.
Yeah,
Let's do
your
it.
thistle is so powerful. It's not one of the weaker plants that you walk through and you see Boglaf like chuckles to themselves.
But we literally
That particular nature
but
joke.
we've literally like killed. Like we don't like them.
No, but we need to lie. We need to lie to the guard
Oh,
as we go into
okay.
town.
Okay.
Maybe he might not even say anything. Let's just.
Probably not. I have this really unlucky trait where just like trouble like goes out of its way to look for me. So knowing my luck, we're definitely getting accosted.
Great.
You walk up, you look a little bit different from the people around you, from the kind of merchants and farmers who are keeping their eyes on the ground as they hurry in and out. You are all well-equipped adventurers by the look of it as you come up the road. This half-orc Silver Thistle Knight looks up towards you and goes, Well. You coming us to the town? What brings you to Lochilvin?
Definitely not the castle. We have no interest in the castle.
We're just passing through.
Just
Zell
passing
cuts in.
through. The road ends here. I'm not sure where you're passing through to.
Well, we wanted to stop and pick up some supplies.
Is that right? And where will you be continuing on to after this?
I go.
Dunarden.
The winds take me to Dunarden. The winds take me to Dunarden.
To Dunarden. And where are you travelling from?
Dunarden. I mean, the winds have taken me from Dunarden.
Harlwick. We came from Harlwick.
Yeah, Harlwick. Yeah, the winds have taken us from Harlwick to Dunarden. Via definitely not Castle Lochilvin. Definitely not the castle.
Hold on. So you went from
Just
Dunarden.
ignore her.
You went from Dunarden to Harlwick, which is west of here.
No.
Then you came back. You stopped off here. You're getting resources to then go back to Dunarden.
Yeah, have you never heard of a round trip?
You all make persuasion checks. The majority of you need to pass them, but they're all at disadvantage.
Oh, disadvantage.
Okay. Oh god.
Because you all gave conflicting accounts.
Oh no! That one!
I
rolled 16 the first.
Yeah, that's a 10. That's a flat 10.
Oh, so I got 13 and 17.
I wish I had got the camping rules about now.
you all kind of babble this rapidly evolving story out that you're coming from Dunardin, that you're passing through this dead-end road town. There's like a pause as the guard looks you over and goes, "Do you think I was born yesterday? I can tell that you're lying to me. I'm going to give you one chance to come clean and tell me exactly why you want into Lochilvin. This town is under the protection of the Silver Thistle, and in case you haven't noticed," and he taps a little brooch with the Silver Thistle and goes, "I am an Order Knight of the Silver Thistle. I would like to know your business here, and if you cannot provide it, I will send you in your way."
You want the truth? You want the gosh honest truth?
Zell's gonna look at the brooch and be like, "Oh, your brooch is really shiny."
He goes, "I know, I polish it every day. Now, dwarf, tell me, why are you here?"
I'm here to meet a woman called Titania.
Okay.
She I met some bandits a few weeks ago on the road that told them of this woman Titania who could do something with their mouth that left their legs quivering for days. And as a warrior, I want to learn how to be able to let out such a blood-curdling battle cry as to leave my enemies weak at the knees.
With that, you can make another persuasion check. This one is not at disadvantage.
Zell,
17.
17?
Zell is silently stunned.
I am going to roll for him. He has a +2 for this. He rolled a 5, so 7. He kind of like looks and goes, "Well, I wouldn't want to stand between a warrior and the warrior's business. Listen, if you find the address of this exceptional lady, you come back and tell me, okay? What about your friends? Are they coming along for the ride?"
We're just along for the ride, but you can understand why we wanted to try and keep this story to ourselves. We don't want this poor Titania to end up with hordes of people at her door.
Of course, of course. Listen, I will say this. I tend to be quite lenient in my tendencies. Progressive, you might even say. But some among my order, they're slightly more conservative in nature. They might not like to know that such business is being performed in the town. I think I'll keep it to myself, but a couple of gold pieces in the pocket might weigh that information down, keep it from running away.
I mean,
A couple gold pieces.
We have no glue. Just we. She's gonna hold her hand out to stop Glute from haggling it up. We actually procured this really fine vintage wine from a merchant, and we would be happy to give it to you for your silence.
I'm not handing over a wine this good. Surely not. I mean, this is worth way more than a couple of gold. Boglach will if you reach out for it, will pull it away a little bit.
But just for his silence, priceless, really.
This is a present to Tanya. I mean, it's worth a lot of gold, and
I'm sure Titania would accept. I'm sure Titania would accept another bottle of wine.
Are you holding the bottle of wine? Is it visible at the moment?
Yeah, and I'll show the label as I'm pulling it away.
Pretending
you're not. Yeah, you're like, you don't know. I'm not giving this wine away.
Is going to try to reach out and take it from you as you're kind of protesting. He's going to try to snatch it from you.
As they go to snatch, I will pull it away and go to give him a light tap on the back of the hand.
Give me an athletics check. Pardon me, not an athletics. Give me just a sleight of hand check.
Hand.
He rolled a natural 20, I'm afraid. But you never know.
I rolled an 8.
As you're going to pull it away, this hand lunges out, he grabs it, armor kind of clanking as he pulls the bottle and goes, "Give that here, I couldn't be having contraband entering the city untaxed now. Let's see." From the year of the many-headed rat. Well.
Instead of taxing us, why don't you just keep it? You can have it. Enjoy it with your friends tonight.
Yeah, I think it would probably be best if I confiscated this. Who knows? Could be poison inside or anything. Can't have that sort of thing coming into the city. On you go.
Zell's gonna maybe just like try and hurry along the other two so we can get away from this as quickly as possible.
Boglach is going to glare at this individual as they walk away, and then as walking away, he's going to turn to Glut, say, "We're going to kick every one of their arses."
Yeah.
Then turns to Zell and says, "We're going to kick all their arses." I'm more on the side of Glut's plan now. I was thinking negotiations, but
Zell's
That's
like,
just-
oh. I mean, I get that he was annoying, but he wasn't that bad.
I don't know. I was about to hand it over, and then you just snatch it. And if I'd been a bit quicker, I mean, I'm just failing at every single turn here, it seems. But anyway,
Hey,
I'm just sort
big
of.
guy.
Oh, hey, don't be
No.
down on yourself,
Hey,
Boglach.
can only go up from
Oh.
here. Can only go up from here.
You
I
did
thought
really
I
well
messed
yesterday.
with you. The first
Remember-
thing that happens today is.
But Zell's gonna be like, remember that acid arrow? That was incredible what you did there.
Yeah, remember that time
don't
that
forget
you
about
used
that.
the lightning to like literally like disintegrate that guy? That was really cool.
Zell's gonna go quiet because she had conveniently forgotten about that, and then remember how much that traumatized her.
And you might have seen power there, but I saw a lack of control. I mean, I really need to be brushing up on this stuff. It's just too many distractions. Anyway,
Tell me about
you.
it.
Okay, so are we gonna go see Titania now, or?
Tanya
How
doesn't
about we
look
go
that-
to the?
I'm
I would.
sorry. Boglach like looks a bit embarrassed when they say it, and it's like, but you made it up. Have you heard of someone called Titania?
Yeah. That's the real. Yeah, no, the Titania thing. That is real. Glut genuinely believes that there is a woman out there called Titania whose war cry can make men weak at the knees.
The Glue
Why
we
don't
met
we-
a couple of days ago in Harwick.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So-
Okay. Let's go see this. Let's go see this.
But that was a great story, Glute. Like, that's
Thanks,
really believable.
thanks. Yeah. No. Well, it's true. That's why it's believable. It's a real thing.
Why don't we go and see Jack? Let's go to the tavern.
Okay. And I'll keep thinking of my plan how we can procure some outfits.
Yes, that would be great.
Back to immediately sweating, just like more just profuse sweating.
You set off
Yeah.
into the town. Quite narrow streets. Most of the roads seem to angle uphill. The whole town is kind of on an angle sloping up towards Castle Lochilvin. And the narrow cobbled streets, not particularly clean. There's a lot of kind of, you can see that build-up of refuse in the corners. You do notice quite a lot of rats in the street. Perhaps a slightly higher propensity for rats in this town than you would normally expect. And you notice quite a few signs up, sort of advertising the skills of the Ten Tails Rat Catcher, which appears to be a local business. You make your way through the street. You ask for directions here and there and find your way to the Bloody Claymore Tavern, a side street quite close to the wall on the lower area of the town. You get the impression that the sort of the lower areas of the town are the slightly seedier areas, and they kind of improve in quality as they go uphill. And you are right at the bottom of the hill here as you head into this three-story dark stone building. You can tell it was probably built from white stone at one time, and that white stone has gradually become smeared with soot and smoke stains over the years. Dark rainwater coming down from the gutters is sort of left like brown stains on the walls. It seems to be quite busy. There's people coming in and out in quite a bustling atmosphere in this decrepit-looking tavern.
Okay, so you guys want to go speak to this Jack? I think that my talents would be best used elsewhere. I promise I won't get into any trouble, but I will get you back here in an hour. I promise you there'll be no trouble.
Okay.
And,
Okay, and before you guys can really give me proper permission, like Glutch just starts sprinting, like full on sprinting away towards like the direction towards like the Temple of Fates.
Boglach sort of trails off, being like, "You don't need our permission."
Watch this
and-
tiny figure vanish into the crowds.
Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to do is I've got the rough idea of a plan. Glut's meat cubes working away. Glut is trying to find the darkest, seediest, dirtiest alleyway in the entire city. That's what they're going to spend that hour doing, is just finding the darkest, quietest, longest, shadiest. You know, if something was going to go down that Glut didn't want someone else seeing, they're looking for that alleyway.
You're in the right part of town for that, and with an hour, you're easily able to track down a particularly grotesque, dirty little alleyway quite close to the Temple of the Fates, which is a sort of large cathedral-like building in a square. One of the roads that kind of like cuts off the square and runs directly parallel to the wall, with the town wall looming over on one side, and then the back of the businesses on the other. Quite quiet, deserted, dirty lane. You get the impression people have been throwing waste away in this lane over the years. What do you want to do once you're there?
So Glitch just wants to like scope out a little bit, get a bit of a feel for it. But if we're already in that area, I'd like to think that like Glut found it maybe in the first 15 minutes, because they said it's going to be for an hour. Glut just goes for like a 45-minute run around the city and just does like a good like 12k in that time, just going like hill sprints and stuff like that, because they don't want to be seen as a liar by going back to the bloody Claymore Inn before the hour is up.
For a note, you have found what is Goat's Eye Lane. Goat's Eye Lane is the decrepit place, and you're able to set off on this like brisk sprint around the town. Give me what's your passive perception?
My passive perception is 13.
13. You don't notice a huge amount as you're running around. You kind of pick up on the fact that the town does seem to kind of improve as you get closer to Lochilvin Castle, and you also do notice that the guards, the sort of street guards in the upper areas of the city, many of them are wearing silver thistle brooches, whereas the guards in the lower area of the city are not wearing silver thistle brooches.
But it's the same uniform on both guards. Just
it's the same uniform, it just seems to be that some of them are wearing the brooches. And you do notice every now and then someone in the lower areas wearing the badge as well, but you get the impression that guards who patrol the upper areas are also sort of, for whatever reason, more comfortable wearing the thistle.
Are there guards that patrol near this Goat's Eye Lane? Do I see that during my scouting out of the place? Like, is that like a patrol route is near Goat's Eye Lane?
Yeah, every street in the town sooner or later gets marched along by some guards.
Perfect. That's really everything Glut probably would think of by that time to sort of check out, like the lane, the alley, the layout of the city, and then again the rest of the time they get a bit too excited by running and they just start running.
As you start sprinting around, doing your hill jogs around the city, where you jump back to the bloody Claymore, where Boglach and Zell are stepping into this low-ceilinged, quite busy common room. There's a tang of smoke in the air, both from the peat-burning fire and from the many pipes that are being puffed around the space. It almost creates a little kind of foggy atmosphere at eye level that you kind of push through. The lights and the lamps and the candles around the space have hazy golden halos around them through the smoke.
Zell's probably going to murmur to Boglach as they walk in, you know, we should probably be pretty quiet in case there's any informers here, but we need to try and work out.
Boglach's just like, as soon as they walk in, just takes in a big nostril full of that peat smoke, and it's like, oh, that's a missing smell. Takes out his own pipe and starts puffing on it, and it's like, yeah, I think we'll definitely fit in here.
Zell does enjoy the smell of a peat fire as well. It's difficult to grow up in the Highlands and not enjoy the smell of a peat fire. So she's grateful to be there too.
A finer smell in the world.
But this is true. She's gonna head up to the bar. Should we just get like a drink to try and fit in?
Yeah, you head up to the bar. The bartender, kind of middle height human, wearing sort of quite plain clothes, a stained white jerkin, and a long, dark kind of blue and grey kilt flowing down almost to their, just to below their knees, comes striding over. They kind of push back. They're clean shaven, but they've got a sort of a quiff of dark hair with a lock of silver kind of running through it. Pushes it back as they come over and goes, "Well now, are you looking for drinks this evening?"
What ales do you have on?
Right now, what have we got? We've got the Kern Bara Heavy. That is pretty heavy. It's a kind of a black soup, a meal in itself. We've got this lovely Amber that's just come down from Dunardin. I would recommend that if you've got a bit more of a taste for the hops, you know. Got decent wines on as well if you're looking for something a bit more, you know, the finer stuff.
I'll take some of the amber, please.
Amber from Dunardin. What about yourself, my friend?
2 of them.
Two of them coming up. Draws off 2 of these ambers, slams them down. That's just 2 copper pieces each for that.
Zell, hand over the money.
2 copper pieces,
For
fantastic.
both of them.
Oh,
And then she's gonna look and she'll be like, "You don't happen to know a Jack, do you? Jack Culfane?"
intimately acquainted with them, I'm afraid. It's guilty as charged.
Oh, I think we bumped into a friend of yours last night.
Oh, did you know? Aye, who's that?
Pollery?
Oh,
Merchant?
Polric.
Polric,
Yeah,
that was it.
our kind.
Aye, Polric kind. Good fellow. Wee dwarven fellow, eh?
Yeah, we had some wine with him last night.
You cut me a very good deal. You see that rug over by the fire?
She's gonna look over, yeah?
That best rug I've ever bought came from him. Fantastic. Knows how to cut a deal.
Great.
I mean,
Zell's gonna take a sip of her amber and she's gonna kind of lean in and she's like, he mentions some trouble with the silver thistle.
Well, there's always a bit of trouble with the Silver Thistle. They're a rambunctious bunch, but, you know, I wouldn't have a bad word to say about them, you know. They're just here at the hospitality of Lord Deneth Kilmar, and I bow to his judgment.
I mean, we don't have a bad word to say about them either. We've just arrived here, but you know who might? I mean, we wouldn't want to accidentally bump into any, you know, pool guards that might have a bad word to say for them. We get snapped up ourselves.
Aye, well, I'd say if you keep your mouth shut, keep your eyes on the ground, you won't have any trouble. Folk in here, the lower parts of the city, you might find more folk who have a poor opinion of the Silver Thistle, but I'm not one of them. So,
Of course not.
all good. What is
Do
it
you
that brings
know-
you to town?
Do you know why people would have a poor opinion of the silver thistle?
I couldn't possibly say, you know, they came in here, we're a very hospitable town, and Lord Deneth is a good man, he brought them in, gave them food and shelter, and it's not like they've taken advantage of the Lord and set themselves up as the de facto rulers of a free city. No, you know, good people, I've no doubt.
Kind of
Sure, I
sounds.
mean, go ahead.
Well, Zell's kind of gonna idly be like, it kind of sounds like that is what happened. As she takes another drink.
Aye, well, they kind of they lean in over the counter slightly and kind of. You can tell that there's other people here who are on sort of the bar duty. You can see a couple of other bartenders kind of leaning over, passing out pints. And Jack kind of leans in and goes, "Well, there's no harm in holding an opinion, I suppose, and it's my opinion that perhaps they've been a little heavy-handed in their methods of late. But you can't be too careful. You're out of town, right?"
Yeah, we can't. We're here from Harlwick.
Aye. I'd say I have a pal down in Harlwick. Bartender there. Do you happen to stay at the Storm's Eye?
Yeah, we did. Duncan
fella.
was lovely.
Duncan? Aye. He's a funny lad. I need to get down and see him soon again. It's been too long. Anyway,
Zell like looks a little sad.
Zell, you almost feel like very distantly. You can't tell if it's actually the weather or if it's just your own imagination. You hear the distant rumble of like thunder, and you remember that flash of lightning. Jack leans in and goes, "Aye, but look, I have to be careful with what I say. People around here, most of them, don't have too high an opinion of the new folks in town. But I run a business here. I have to keep my head low." Keep my profile low, you know, so I don't want to speak too freely. If you if you're looking to, I don't know, hear a bit more of my candid opinion, we can step back behind the bar in like an hour or so. Things will have quietened down.
Yeah, that would be great, actually, if you don't mind.
If you're friends of Mr. Kine, then, Mr. Kine certainly spoke his mind on the subject, so I imagine you might be somewhat aligned with his thinking.
He was very candid last night, yes.
Candid to a fault, that dwarf, but it shouldn't be a fault. In some towns it's not, and in this town it wasn't until quite recently. Stick around, in about an hour I'll pull you away and we'll get a quiet drink in the back room.
Sounds good. Perfect, thank you. Everyone should be allowed to speak their mind.
You're able to kind of get past the time, just drinking quietly at the bar. In due course, the door opens and you see, sweat on the brow. Your friend Gloot returns.
Okay, I walk over to the gang, so to speak, and I'm just like, okay, guys, I've got it. I don't have it just yet, so don't ask. But it's on the tip of my tongue of how we're gonna do this.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Did you
good.
share any details? Maybe the initial.
Maybe not
perspectives?
here. Zell's gonna kind of look around and be like, maybe not here.
Okay. Yeah. Good plan. Good plan. Well, no, my plan's the good plan. I know it. I just. I again, more profuse sweating and kind of like shrinks into themselves as they're just continuing to think about the plan. It's really frustrating for them because like they feel like they could just scream it out, but they just need to try to think of how the logistics of it actually work.
Black is only going to say like, that's fine. Just to check, the plan isn't happening here and now, is it?
No.
Oh,
No.
good. Okay.
It's because I'm not ready.
Right, good. It's just I didn't want a surprise plan coming out of, I don't know, start breaking down the doors and you've not told us.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. No. Okay. Nothing to worry about. And what's the situation here? What's going on?
We're just waiting. Jack's gonna take us back for a quiet drink away from everyone else.
Oh, did you guys ask about Titania?
No, we haven't got round to that one yet.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll see if I can.
Do you want a drink?
Yes. Have you asked what their second cheapest bottle of wine is like?
I have not. Why don't we go up to the bar and find out?
Okay, I'll follow Zeb up to the bar.
As you get up to the bar, you see Jack is kind of like slipped away, but another one of the bartenders comes over. This big hulking bugbear individual, dressed in a slightly ill-fitting bartender's outfit with a apron that was evidently designed for someone considerably smaller, comes over, kind of like clumps down two fists on the counter in front of me and goes, "Well, all right then, what can I get for you?"
We're looking at what's... Oh, no, you go.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, just wondering, what are your wine choices?
I must admit we're a little bit limited at the moment. We've got a couple of reds, a couple of whites, and a thing that they call rosé. It's some kind of mix of the two, as far as I can tell. We've got a decent red in from Amberlance. It's a Year of the 20-Tailed Ox.
Okay, so you said you have this thing which is a combination of the wines?
That's right. It's actually quite popular. New thing that they've brought in from the big cities, but it's catching on.
Okay, can I try, like, the second cheapest one of these?
Oh, right, coming up. That will be the Unicorn's Tears. Very aptly named, they like to go for something a bit colourful. He ducks away and returns with this bottle of liquid that isn't quite white wine, it isn't quite red wine, it's kind of a pinkish hue to it. And goes, "Anything else for the rest of you folks?"
I'm fine, actually. I've just had a beer, so I'll...
Splendid. I'll bring you some extra glasses, just in case you want to splash around the good stuff. Puts it down, glasses over. That will be 5 copper pieces, then.
5?
5 copper pieces is perfect! Zell yells and practically throws him the money.
Oh, thank you. Much appreciated. You enjoy. Tell me what you think of that. I don't know if these ones come in vintages or not, but this one apparently was put down in the year of the 10-eared troll. So I don't know if that has any impact on Rosie.
Thank you.
I'll let you know. And like, I kind of just like sort of dip my just sort of get some of the wine on my finger and just start like poking my old my bear cut wounds, and this one stings more than what it usually does, and Glutz takes that as like a good sign of like this is a good wine. Like this hurts my bear wounds more than usual.
Zelle's gonna pour herself the tiniest of cups just to try it.
It's pretty good. It tastes like a good rosé. It's kind of sweet, floral, light on the tongue. Good if you're in hot weather.
Oh, okay. I can see why the big city loves this.
Don't get much good weather down these parts, so sure if we'll catch on.
True.
After
I have
little
actually
while-
had a rosé before in Dunarden. It was nice.
I was going to say Dunarden is the sort of place where rosé has kind of originated from, so you would have probably seen this. You were like an early adopter to some extent.
Oh, you're now just experiencing rosé. Oh, that's cute.
After a little while, Jack comes over, beckons you, and goes, "Right, it's a bit heat's off, pressure's off. We can get one of the lounges upstairs if you come with me."
Zell grabbed the bottle and come on up.
Head upstairs. You find yourself in a surprisingly comfortable little lounge. The exterior of the building is not great, but you get the impression that quite a lot of care has taken over the interior. You step into this comfortable little room, two little sort of red velvet settees set around a fire, a large mirror on the opposite wall, kind of making the small room, feel a little bit bigger than it is, soft red carpet underfoot. Jack motions you to take a seat, and you notice that there's a little table in the centre of the room that already has a couple of the beers that you were drinking from downstairs, and a bottle of the rosé sitting on it with a couple of glasses. You go, "Right,
Oh, thanks.
so am I right in thinking you've got a poor opinion of the Silver Thistle?"
Worst.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We're not fans. We're not fans of them.
We had a run-in with them
Where was that
a
now?
couple of days ago. Zell's gonna look at Boglach and his glute and be like, "Where were we again?"
It
The
began
winds
with
took
a
us
B.
from I think it was I'm gonna say Keeglach.
It was east of Harwick, the bigger town, maybe, which is why we didn't remember this.
Balak.
Balak.
Zell's
Balak.
gonna
That was
kind
that.
of
I was
yell.
working through to it.
Yeah.
There's a
Balak. It took me a
moment
minute there.
where you've all kind of like said this. You are just east of Harwick right now, and you've kind of like said all these different things. Jack looks at you and goes, "I won't pry. If you want to keep that information to yourself, you don't have to make up stuff about Valach, small town.
No,
not much
we
happens."
we were in Valach resting, and we came across a man who was traveling with his daughter, and they had a run-in with the Silver Thistle, and we protected them.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on murder?
I beg your pardon.
Let's say hypothetically that we spoke to these individuals and then afterwards they ceased.
The Silver Thistle or
Breathing.
the fella and his daughter?
The Silver Thistle.
Was it?
Yeah, it
Are we
was
sure?
the Silver Thistle. Yes, 100% sure.
Okay, yeah, the Silver Thistle, and
We
they
did
might
let
have-
one go.
Yeah, the one that stole my rock.
Yeah.
Remember the rock that would let people fall in love with you?
It did what?
Yeah, that's what the rock done. It made people fall in love with you.
But you threw it at that guard and he didn't fall in love with you.
Yeah, that's because he was a heartless monster that was incapable of feeling love.
Seems quite unethical
Suddenly
of
everything that
Mark White.
happened like in the last battle is beginning to like make sense to Zell, like why Glute was so upset.
They
Heartless
were a heartless
monster.
animal. Yeah, that felt nothing. So these
Sounds like a Silver Thistle night to me.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was, and we
So-
unalived them.
It's very Gen Z of you.
Yeah, I don't want this clip on TikTok. I need to get banned in case I talk about how I killed them.
So essentially we protected the father and his daughter from these Silver Thistle knights, I guess, and they asked us to come here to find someone who was taken captive.
If it's who I think you're speaking of, the woman you're after is Camellia.
Yes.
Yes, Zell's just gonna yeah.
Tell me this. Is it true, what they're saying?
For us to judge. We don't know.
No.
We
I don't think it is. Because she's a human, and people keep saying that she's some sort of dog creature.
Oh, that would be a werewolf they're saying she is.
Where? And you see Glut like frantically looking around the room.
A lichen, one of the night
Yes.
spawn.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on lycanthropy?
Oh, it's a devil of a thing, a curse. I don't hold it against those who are unlucky enough to find the curse upon them, but it's they cannot live among the rest of society. They're too dangerous. The moon comes upon them, it fills them with a bloodlust. But then again, Camellia, there you go, she has been nothing but a model citizen since she moved here. So, the idea that she's been, this whole time, some kind of beast, it doesn't make sense. But the town is in a state of tension, and one word in the ear of a powerful person is enough to get you dragged off. They're building a guillotine over by the market square. The blade edged with silver. They say they're going to execute her tomorrow night.
Oh.
So we need to rescue her before tomorrow night.
Aye, well, I can't say I'm not rooting for you, but I also can't say I'm very optimistic about your chances. She's probably somewhere deep inside that castle. It'll be no easy thing to get her out.
I mean, she might be coming to us, though. We're going to execute her tomorrow, then just need to ambush tomorrow.
How much time did we have for this?
Till tomorrow night.
Tomorrow at midnight.
I think we need to get her out before tomorrow night.
Yeah,
Whether it's possible or not.
Yeah.
And how many did you say? We were told by somebody there's around 15 of them.
15.
Is that...
Of those that
That
call
sound
themselves knights, there's about 15 that I've seen. There were more, but they rode off and, well, I see some of them came to a dreadful end in the town of Valak, which I'm more than happy to hear. But 15 will be loyal to the Order. There are some among the City Watch who quite enjoy the additional power they've been bequeathed, and they are tending to be the sort of folk who might stand with the Silver Thistle if it came to an open conflict. Not that many, though. The majority of the town are, not well disposed towards the Silver Thistle. The problem is that if one person rises up, they need to know that others stand with them. At the moment, no one's quite sure how much support they could rely on.
And have you lived here for a long time, Jack?
Aye, born and bred.
So you must know the castle pretty well then.
I've been up a few times. I did catering for a couple of the banquets there back in the day, aye.
So would you know of any weak spots or places where someone might be able to sneak in?
Well, I mean, it's a tough old castle. There's, as far as I'm aware, the castle is plumbed in with sewage. It either connects to a sewage system going out into the loch, or it's plumbed into the sewage system underneath the town. One of our claims to fame is that we actually do have a functioning sewage disposal system running through most of the town. It's a bit, well, it's not as well maintained as it used to be, and it's packed with rats these days, but
It's possible that connects to some part of the castle itself.
What about the cliff itself that the castle is built on?
If you were to get down onto the loch, you could scale the cliff, but then you'd have to scale the wall, which would be no easy feat, and the wall is usually guarded, as far as I'm aware.
Even
again-
like the lock edge of it is also guarded.
Well, not the loch edge itself, but the cliff goes down to the top. The cliff comes from the loch up to the base of the wall, and then the wall flows up from there, and the rampart will probably be guarded. Some folks will go up there to supply the castle, of course, as well. Usually wagons will go up from the town with goods needed, arms from the blacksmith, that kind of thing.
Are those wagons? I imagine those wagons would always be searched as they were going in.
Wouldn't be able to say for sure myself. I've been up there a couple of times just in the area on my way to the market, and there's definitely guards around the gates, but I've not seen any of the wagons as they actually go in and out.
And as you've mentioned before, Jack, that voicing these opinions against the Silver Thistle is a bit of a no-go in the town. But do you know of anyone in the town who has a similar opinion as you that we would be able to talk to safely?
Aye, well, there are folks who, a couple of drinks in them, will speak their mind, and I've kind of made a little bit of a mental list. If you're looking for someone, I might go to the Crone's Eye Apothecary. There's an old woman who runs that, but she is kind of a well-respected figure in the town, a matriarch, and she's been one of the few folk who has openly spoken her mind against the Silver Thistle. She's well-respected, and as a result of that, the Silver Thistle have been reluctant to move against her. They don't want to foment too much unrest in the town. I think that over time, she may sadly vanish in some unfortunate accident, but for now she's speaking her mind, and they've not done away with her yet.
Okay, good. Interesting to know. It's just good to know allies that we can speak to who might be able to help us.
If you are looking to get into the sewers, I don't know where he stands on this, but there's no one knows him better than old Tam Fesker at the Ten Tails Ratcatcher.
Okay.
Aye.
I suppose being a rat catcher, he would be fairly well acquainted with the sewers.
Aye, he knows them well, and it was his old da who actually worked on the construction back in the days, so he'll have a good angle. Like I say, I don't know, he doesn't drink in here that much, so he doesn't speak his mind around me at any rate, but if he were subtle about it, I'm sure you could find out something.
You say that the woman from the Crone's Eye is sort of almost infamous among the guards as something of a naysayer. Do you know of any other high value individuals where the thistle may wish to dispose of, and any other sort of big shakers, so to speak?
Well, the elder at the Temple of the Fates has not spoken out yet, but has certainly not pledged himself to the cause. One of the first things they did when they came into town was they tried to get various local figures, religious leaders, guild masters, to come up to the castle to wine and dine them, and some of these folk have even taken to, under some duress, wearing the badge of the Silver Thistle themselves, but the elder at the Temple of the Fates has refused to do so.
Okay. Gullet goes back to profusely sweating because they've almost got it. They've almost got it. They just need to add a few more bits into play.
It's Leland Kildonis at the Temple of the Fates, if you're looking for them.
Interesting.
Adonis, eh?
Aye, one of the northern clans.
Yeah, I'm a member myself.
Oh, are you? Well, he might be happier talking to you then. I don't know the fella well myself, but he's good. Gives a lot to the poor, helps out with some of the orphanages in town.
Yeah, we're a good bunch, if not a little less talkative at times.
Aye, stoic, keeps to himself.
That's a kind word for my clan. I don't mind maybe I can make fun of them, but others can.
If I understand correctly, then your plan is to actually infiltrate the castle in some way and rescue this unfortunate woman.
Yes,
And if
hopefully.
if we can topple the influence of the Silver Thistle while we're at it, then
Yeah,
all
we
the
would be.
better.
Yeah, try and loosen their grip on this town and let everybody get back to their normal lives and stop living in fear.
Yeah, I'm a little scared of them trying to expand from the stronghold that they have here, as this seems to be a fairly prosperous city.
Especially
Yeah.
if they're sending out individuals to, don't know.
Yeah, precisely. So the last thing we want is for this
Well-
spreading like a corruption across our lands.
And
Frankly,
it's very concerning.
the thing that I don't understand is why Lochilvin? I mean, we're not a particularly populous city. We're not particularly well appointed in terms of our geographical situation. If it had been one of the towns maybe closer to Dunardin or closer to some of the resources up in the hills, I would have understood it. But we've always seen ourselves as something of a backwater. And they've come here and decided that this is to be the place. I don't know how we got so lucky.
Maybe that's exactly it. Maybe it's because you guys aren't one of the bigger cities that could, neglect this parasite or shove it out. Maybe you guys are big enough to be important enough to be worth dominating over, but not big enough that you pose a real threat to them.
Perhaps. I suppose we're far enough from the major power centers that we wouldn't draw too much attention initially. One thing I will say for them, they've been repairing the gate, and that's about the only good bit of business they've done so far. They've put some scaffolding up, and it looks like they're doing some repairs on the gate. So that's that's the only civic kind of duty they've fulfilled so far. Aside from that, they don't seem to have any interest in governing properly. They just want to amass power. Their leader is a wretched fella, Captain Carlaw. If you can avoid a meeting with him, I'd recommend it.
What does he look like?
He's an older fella, thinning grey hair, very tall, very thin and lean.
Okay, interesting.
His son recently went out. I think he might have been one of the folk that you ran into. Wretched little fella with a wispy beard. Couldn't stand him. He was one of the worst. But Captain Carlaw seems to be in charge of the order.
I don't think the sun will be bothering you anymore.
Well, I won't be missing his presence in my tavern, I'll tell you that. If you're looking for rooms tonight, by the way, I can happily put you up.
Great, yeah, while we formulate a plan, that would be fantastic.
Okay,
So,
I think I've got it. Wait until we're in a room spot. I think I've got a good foundation of a plan to work with.
Jack rises.
Jack, sorry, before you go, one last question, my friend. Do you know, do the guards patrol overnight, or when do the patrols stop? If they stop at all?
All night. In fact, in the upper quarters, it can be a wee bit quieter. There's less issues to deal with, but they usually keep a strong garrison in the lower town.
Good to know. Oh, that is good to know. Okay, fabulous. Thank you for that information.
I will leave you to it, but listen, well, I'm not exactly the kind of person you need inside the castle with you. If there's anything I can do on the outside, equipment you need to procure, people you need in touch with, I'll help in any way I can.
Yes.
thank you, Jack.
Do you know if there's some sort of blacksmith or someone who's good at modifying equipment?
Aye, Better Stone Smithy's the one you need to speak with. They're finest blacksmith in the town.
Okay, fantastic. What time is it just now?
Right now it's sort of about 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
3 o'clock. Okay. Last thing, this Better Stone, what's his opinion on the Silver Thistle?
Well, Bitterstone is supplying weapons and arms to Castle Lochilvin and was one of the first people called up for a private meeting with Carlaw. But she's always been a very forthright and free-minded individual. Not the sort of person I would imagine would be particularly comfortable with the situation, but again, doesn't come down to my quarter that much.
Okay.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
Listen, I'll be thinking of you, and you let me know if I can help.
We will.
Jack slips out of the room and leaves you in this comfortable little room with some drinks and time and space to plan.
Okay. So, I've got a rough idea for a plan. So, hear me out here. I've had a look around the city, and this Temple of the Fates seems to be almost as far away from Castle Lochilvin as possible. So I'm thinking of causing some sort of distraction at the temple, which would possibly give us a window of opportunity to sneak into the castle.
That's a good idea.
I found a little
great
dingy lane called the Goat's Eye Lane, and I think we could possibly set an ambush for the guards so that we can slip in while the rest go for a distraction. What's your guys' thoughts on extreme levels of graphic brutality?
I mean, I wouldn't subject it on anybody who was just an innocent.
But we're talking about the Silver Thistle here of subjecting horrific torment.
As long as it doesn't run into you enjoying torment for torment's sake. I mean,
No, not at all. Not at all. No, necessary torment.
I'm just one of the things that's grating on me is I'm worried that for the people who actually go all in for the Silver Thistle, then yes, but there was that guy back in Valak who was just a new recruit and wasn't really, although he did attack us, so
yeah, but I think
I'm
to see
pretty sure
them
I
as
watched that man stab you in the stomach with a sword.
there's individuals within every organization, and this Captain Law and Carlos, and others might be really evil individuals, but got to separate them. I wouldn't just take my aggression out on Silver Thistles.
What if it was that orc guy from before?
I mean, Boglath's that must be a truly evil individual. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, they were just rude. It annoyed me, but I wouldn't torment them for it.
Yeah.
We need to see.
I do like the idea of a distraction, though. I think that's a good plan to try and draw them out from the castle, and it'll leave it open for us to go in. It's just a question of what that distraction is, and it would need to keep them busy.
So have you guys ever heard of crucifixion?
No.
No, I have not.
Okay, so it's basically what you do is you tie someone to the ground and make sure that they're restrained, and you get a bunch of people to stand in a circle and call them really mean names. I read in a book this one time, so I think so here's what I'm thinking. The guards patrol at night. We create some sort of distraction to drag them into this alleyway, laying an ambush, and we knock out 3 of them.
Okay.
We then steal their uniforms, and one of us, who's probably the most convincing, goes up to the guards and tells them that 3 of them are being crucified at the Temple of Fates. I feel like that would be enough to draw a good bit of attention away from Lochvale Castle, and we can use that as our window of opportunity.
Are the guards actually going to be crucified, or are they just going to be in an alley?
Well, I've got rope and some metal spikes. I could secure them to the floor.
If I could step in, I do like the plan. If I could build upon it and take out this suggestion.
Crucifixion?
What we'd have to do is if I talk to the elder from the same clan, I could say that everybody at the temple could leave that night, but we barricade it from the inside. We spread rumor that there's some sort of uprising happening at the temple.
Dissenters in the temple.
Yeah, while they all head down there to take care of it and try and break down barricades and stuff with nobody in harm's danger. There's an opportunity we can still ambush the guards if needed to get uniforms and sneak in. He'll
I
be
like
distracted
that
trying to break
idea.
into an empty temple, and we can.
I,
He can.
I think even just from the guard thing, I think we should still try and at least, if we can get the uniforms, amazing. But I think what's even more important than that is the opportunity to interrogate. I think if we're able to, not dispose of, if we want to be dealing with this as polite individuals, we could.
I mean, there's no reason that we couldn't interrogate. Well, we could if we managed to get 3 guards, get them into the empty temple, have them tied up, and speak to them in the temple, and then we could just leave them there.
Oh, and crucify them in the temple. That's a great
No!
idea. Yeah.
No!
Uh-huh. I'll get
Not just interrogating them.
No, there's enough people that don't like them, so they'll come and say the really mean things. I don't
Will
get when you
they?
guys. Well, yeah, everyone would love the opportunity to say nasty things at the Silver Thistle. No one here seems to love them.
I think we should put a pin in the crucifixion idea, but build on the rest of it.
Okay.
Very, very.
I also
excited for
would
this
really-
part to be fast forwarded for they formed a plan.
Okay.
I can see Malcolm's meat cube working a wee bit at the moment.
No, I want to clip this bit where it's like, okay, we'll put a pin in the crucifixion.
Okay.
It could be one of those things, it's like a SpongeBob thing, like 10 minutes later. We'll put a pin in the crucifixion idea. 10 minutes later.
Okay.
I
I would quite like to get to the Crone's
Eye.
Eye apothecary and speak to this woman. I think she might be able to offer us something. So why don't I do that while you check out the temple?
Well,
Boglach.
and I need to go to the city. You see about procuring equipment for a bit, but a plan B, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And
Okay.
if we all do our individual tasks, but maybe if we're looking to ambush these guards, it would be good to know if there's maybe one patrol that's around the temple.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
The alley's near the Temple of the Fates. So how about we head out? If it's afternoon, how about we meet back there in an hour?
Okay. Could you ask about armor at the smithies for me, at the blacksmith?
Sure. Gloat will not be asking about armor. Gloat
I am
will
aware.
forget immediately. Yeah. I just want to let you know that now. We're just going to call a spade a spade. But yeah, no. I
Zell
will-
is
yeah.
hopeful.
I will definitely be asking about armor.
Either that or that's all you'd ask now. Because
It's like stuck, like an intrusive thought. Like
armor.
So
Yeah. Okay.
With a new sense of purpose, Gloat is gonna leave the room and start heading towards Bitterstone. I've said, guys, is it okay for me to go to the Bitterstone blacksmith now?
You don't need to ask permission.
So is that a yes?
I mean, yes, but you don't need permission. You can just
You
go.
are a third of this team.
But Boglag, Zell said I can go. Is it okay if I go?
Listen, and I think Boglach will kneel down, put a hand on your shoulder and be like, "You came up with a good plan today. You absolutely beat the shit out of those thistles the other day. You're as big a part of this team as me and Zell. We might at times say fancier words, but you still come up with arguably better plans than I had. I was just going to wait around on my arse until tomorrow night. So you got to start, stepping up. You gotta not ask for permission, which is, I don't think that's stepping up, but you need to, ask for permission at the very least.
So is that a yes?
I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna let you make that decision.
Gloat starts profusely sweating as he slowly edge
Just
towards
say
the door.
yes. Zell's
And then-
gonna say from behind.
I'm just gonna look up at Zell and go, "No, she must learn."
I hear no one. I open the door slightly, and now you just see half my head in the room still, and the other half just slowly sneaking out, and then I'll slam the door and start sprinting down the stairs. Yeah, you just hear the.
Sometimes I think it's easier to just play into whatever it is that Gloot has going on.
I mean,
Maybe.
play into it to an extent, but they came up with a figure earlier and then immediately thought this figure existed. I'm still not convinced that this isn't some kind of... We don't know Gloot that well. Surely it has to be some sort of enchantment or curse or something like that. I mean, I've never met an individual like this.
No, me either. Glute is definitely a new one.
I mean, incredibly entertaining to
Yeah.
travel with and incredibly useful to have. I mean,
Oh, I mean, in a
good
fight, she
plans
is
in combat, but
absolutely insane. But out of fighting, she is also sometimes absolutely insane.
in a good
Yeah.
way. I'm glad that
In a
Glute's
good
on
way,
our
I'm-
side.
Oh, I would not want to be on the wrong side of Glute at all.
I mean, I tower over her, and I still get scared sometimes when she gets that look in her eye.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when
Yeah,
the
me
fire's
too.
flickering in it. It's just think one snap.
I know. Anyway, I guess we'll meet up in an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Good luck at the
out.
temple.
Thank you. Good luck at the I remember
Apothecary.
where you're going. Apothecary. Yes.
Yeah.
The crone eye.
So let me just get that straight. So Boglach heading to the Temple of the Fates. Glute, where are you off to right now? You're off to the smithy.
The Bitterstone Smithy.
You're off to the Bitterstone Smithy, and Zell is on her way to the Crone's Eye Apothecary. Let's take a quick break there, and we'll jump back in a moment. We are back, and so at this moment, our heroes are setting out, having devised a cunning plan to distract the attention away from Castle Lochilvin and then infiltrate under the guise of being city guards. You have headed out to attend some business before implementing this plan. Let's begin with Boglach on his way to the Temple of the Fates down in the southwestern corner of the town. Approaching, you see there's a kind of a wide circular plaza, and in the centre this large cathedral-like building rising up, its edges softened by a couple of slightly withered-looking trees growing around the walls. The building is built from quite a dark stone with quite elaborate stained glass windows around the edges and a tall belfry rising up over the top. You can see the glint of this large old iron bell hanging up there as you cross the square. A wide flight of stairs runs up to the double wooden doors that go into the interior. You can see a couple of people kind of coming and going in and out. There's not like a sermon going on or anything like that, but you get the impression people come here throughout the day.
Yeah, I'll approach the doors. I'll nod at passers-by, and as I enter, I'll wipe my shoes, against the. Clear myself up, maybe straighten myself out, and seek out Elder Leland Adonis.
You head into this cavernous, darkened space. The light is running through the windows, but the windows are all stained with kind of shades of blue and purple, creating this quite almost like a sort of deep, dusky twilight inside the temple. Walking along, you can see that at the far end of the Temple of the Fates is this enormous statue of three kind of wizened crones hunching around what appears to be some kind of spindle and drawing long sort of lines of thread out and into the spindle. There are a great many candles flickering around the base of the statue, and the wax of those candles has hardened over the years to form a sort of thick white crust around the stone base of the dais. Standing with their back to you is a tall, sort of gaunt-looking figure wearing a long black gown, kind of head bowed over the flames.
I'll approach and say, I don't mean to interrupt. Keldonis. Leland?
There's a kind of moment of pause as this figure sort of draws themselves out of the contemplative state that they're in. They turn around. You see the face of someone who looks quite young, probably only in their sort of mid-30s or something like that, but they have an age around their face, a sort of a weariness that is kind of striking. They look older than their years. A sort of long, narrow face, quite hard lines, quite thin, and a sort of already sort of prematurely silvered hair in a slightly unruly mask, kind of like swept aside to one side. Deep violet eyes. They turn around and go, "Good evening. Keldonis, did you say?"
Adonis indeed.
It's been a long time since I met one of my own so far south.
step forward, take your hands into theirs. You feel this kind of the bones through the hand, this sort of thin fingers wrapping around yours. So, what brings you down here?
I just wanted to pass on a gift and maybe have a little chinwag, we'll say, maybe in private.
Of course. Well, my door is always open to any who come here, yet it is doubly so to you, an old companion, I think, an old companion who I haven't met yet. But come with me, we'll take a little walk in the upper floor. They lead you over to a stair that leads up to a kind of a quiet walkway that runs around the interior, looking down into the sort of cavernous hall below. Your voices still kind of echo in the stone spaces, so you kind of keep your voices hushed as the two of you walk along this wooden gangway around the just not that far below the vaulted ceiling. Leland turns to you and says, "Oh, what news from the clan?"
Not much, I have to say. We're hoping to seek out the Claymore of Ram. Hopefully it'll bring us, good prosperity to the clan.
Is that why you're here? You're looking for Grankel Ferson's sword?
It was meant to be my main focus, but it seems I've gotten sidetracked.
That is often the way, wandering souls.
Yes. I've heard there's a little bit of trouble in town.
What have you
Don't
heard?
want to speak. It's a thorn in the side of everybody but a thistle.
Very well put. I must say the days are darkening in Lochilvin. Trouble seems to have come to our quiet town. Perhaps it was overdue. We've had many long years without such... Well, you have no doubt come face to face with this evil that grows now festering in our midst.
Yes, like any good evil, it might require a little bit of pruning and cutting down.
I fear that nothing but a firm hand rooting it out at the stem will do this. We need to cast the Silver Thistle out of here, but not just out of here, out of every other stronghold they might find for themselves in these lands. If we drive them out from here, they will only sprout up somewhere else, I've no doubt. Are you planning to pledge your sword against them?
Yes. I have others that can back me up.
I tell you, I've been praying on this, hoping that the fates would send some unexpected thread to weave a little colour into this grim tapestry, and here we have a Caldonis, no less, come down directly to answer my call. I wonder what your plan is, because, truth be told, I myself am a little at a loss here. I find myself outnumbered, at least in terms of vocal support, although I do believe that were we to rally the people to this cause, we might find that we are, in fact, the majority here.
I'd have to agree, but involving people who otherwise may be hurt is not what we're... I have a different sort of plan, but it would require your aid. And Boglak is sort of looking around, making sure that there's no people around, that there's nobody kind of looking at them from below, just keeping an eye and making sure they're not being overheard.
Give me a perception check.
That's going to be 10.
You glance down into the space below. You can see that there are figures down there. There are people who seem to be praying at the altar, sitting on the long wooden pews that line the space. But from up here, in this kind of like half-light gloom, you can't really make out whether they're looking your direction or just focusing on the altar.
I think a little, not being able to get a read on it, Boglach is more panicked. Kind of going to turn to the elder and go, don't want to draw this out too much in case someone's listening. We're hoping to cause a distraction. would require this place to be involved. I couldn't help but notice the old iron bell outside. We're hoping that we could clear this temple out, barricade it, maybe spread word that, there's a rumor around town that when the bell rings, the temple will rise against the thistles. Obviously, you would all be safe, but it may distract them enough that we can at least weaken them and possibly even chase them out of town. I understand that it's a risky plan, and I understand.
Risk is something that I'm willing to bear if there is even a chance to turn things around. Truth be told, it shames me to admit, but I have not been as active as perhaps I could have, launching some kind of counter attack against the Thistles. I've been, of course, outspoken and refused their invitations up to the castle, but I could have done more, and perhaps this is a chance to take definitive action. There are others in this town who I can speak with who could aid me in this. Tell me when you want the distraction to occur.
If you would welcome 2 others into your temple, I would bring my companions. We may have some other people in our company that might be stashed away here.
Splendid. I think that we can barricade the temple, we can ring the bell, and we can put that word around that as kind of a call to arms. One thing I must say is that I personally cannot leave the temple. If we are ringing the bell, I will happily stand here alone and guard the place, but I don't see why I should abandon this place.
It's dangerous, Elder.
I think if the fates wish me to see out this business, then I will survive, and if they do not wish me to survive the coming storm, then so be it. Bring your friends here, and I will do what I can.
I won't pretend to be an agent of the fates, as you called me earlier, and I won't pretend to understand how the fates might move. You obviously have more faith in them than I do. I'll respect the decision, and yes, thank you for your aid. And I did say a gift, and Boglak will reach into their satchel, pouch, whatever they might carry around, and bring out some sphagnum moss, which I guess is like a kind of peaty-like. It's like a moss that grows on top of peat, usually preserves it. When you burn it, has an unpleasant smell to some, but I think for a Keldonis it would be a good reminder of home, and some antibacterial properties too. So maybe it would, help in any way. Should have probably offered it to Glut with the air trap Boglak thing, but Boglak has plenty.
The elder...
Sphagnum moss also grows insanely. If you take a piece off from a bit that's on top of peat and put it on a bit of bare peat, it just spreads its roots and grows and covers that peat right up. Sorry, I know that from my normal life.
That'd be awesome. I think then Boglak will hand over and flowing damage from knowing sphagnum moss. We'll say perhaps you can bring a little bit of the north down to the south and spread the goodwill.
The elder leans in, breathes in that peaty smell from the moss, and as they do that, you almost see a little bit of colour returns to their cheeks, almost as if they've kind of been in this place for so long that memory of the north has seeped out of them and something. And not very well. Perhaps a little bit of the northern justice is going to come to this southern town. I believe that with your help, we can at the very least give them a run for their money. These bullies should never have walked in here in the first place without some kind of resistance, and perhaps now is the time. Do you plan to spring the trap tonight?
Will be tonight. The weather looks particularly foul, so hopefully that will, maybe they'll all slip and fall and we won't have to do anything.
Much as I hope, I find the fates are never so direct in their intervention. However, tonight, the bell of the Temple of the Fates will ring, and perhaps it will ring in a new day for this sorry town. Very well, I will make some preparations, and I will see you here whenever you are able to return.
Thank you, Leland. And Make sure you survive. We always use more open-minded and kind-hearted Caldonuses in the world.
We can but hope. Nod and kind of, with a little bit more vigor and energy than when you first met them, turn and head down back into the main body of the cathedral. As that interaction ends, we will leap over to the smithy, where the sound of the hammer is ringing out as Glut. You can hear this from like a couple of streets away, and as you turn a corner, you see this very large open air kind of like yard outside of the what looks to be like a small kind of warehouse, and the yard is a hive of activity, multiple foundries flaring and burning. You can see several figures hurrying around in heavy leather aprons, the sound of the steel ringing out across the space. You are standing outside of the Bitterstone smithy. What do you want to do?
The entire time that goes on walking over, there's like armor, and then they walk in.
You head into the smithy. You can see a lot of people hurrying around. You can see a small gnome very busily fanning the flames with a large pump nearby. Looks up and goes, "Can I help you?"
Yes, I'm here for arms. Yes, arms. I then reach down to my hip and pull out my two handy punching daggers and plop them onto the counter. And say, I am wanting to do some rock climbing later. Is there any chance you could modify these punching daggers to be more suitable for climbing steep surfaces?
At that, the gnome kind of nods and goes, "One moment," kind of darts off, and a few moments later, out from the warehouse, kind of striding across this open air yard towards you, you see a dwarven woman, thick, long, sort of braided dark hair, almost kind of like hanging down like sort of long twining curtains on either side of her face, all sort of looped through with large rings and little bars of gold kind of woven into her hair. She's wearing the heavy apron, and you can see sort of muscles bulging through this kind of stained, slightly ragged shirt she's wearing. She walks over and goes, "Well now, what can I help you with? It's punching daggers, is it?"
Yes, and then I pack and I pull out a few of like my pitons, like my little like metal stakes basically, and I put on the table and goes, "Is there any way you could, I don't know, forge or smelt these iron stakes onto the edge of these punching daggers so that I could use them to say climb steep rocky surfaces?"
I mean, it'll be no problem. I'm just wondering what you could just buy pitons if you need them. These seem a little aggressive.
My climbing style is well suited for aggression.
Well, for a gold piece, I can tap this together for you. When do you need to buy?
A gold piece? Oh,
Aye.
You think I'm walking all the way across town and parting with a gold piece?
You can see, as you're saying this, the dwarf, with a look of a gleam of like excitement in her eye at the thought of a good bargaining session, kind of leans forward and goes, "Aye, what is your counter offer?"
Counter offer? Okay. I like hold up one gold, and with a flick of my finger, like I reveal the second gold piece that was behind and go, 2 gold.
2 gold pieces for the same job.
Yes.
I feel like I don't follow. Why would you be giving me more?
Well, it's the big opening. I'm willing to negotiate from there, but that's my opening offer.
And I'll take it. You don't have to run that by me twice.
Okay, no counterpoints to that. 3 gold?
3 gold? Looks at you again. Give me a persuasion check, and this is just to persuade her that you are genuine in this.
Fucking nat 20.
Nat 20.
We couldn't have had those when we were dealing with the guard.
I'll keep that at 2 gold pieces. That'll be plenty for me.
Can I roll a sleight of hand check to like slide an extra gold across a counter without her noticing?
Absolutely. I'm just going to
Okay.
quickly roll to see what the DC is.
Yeah, that's a 6. Plus.
It's a 7.
Yeah, 8.
Oh, well, it's a 7 that she rolled. So you're kind of like, she's still just a little confused with this interaction, doesn't really want to take advantage of you here, although at the same time, 2 gold pieces, why not? And she's going to reach out her hand, takes it, doesn't notice the 3 gold pieces that have been kind of palmed in there, and she like pats it into her pocket and goes, okay, well, when do you need these back for?
What's the soonest I could have them back? Ideally, I'd want them for some point tonight.
It's a tight business. I've got a big order coming through right now, biggest I've ever had. Listen, I might be able to get that sorted for you before sundown, before we close the business. We're going to be working late tonight anyway, but could you have it by the morning, or does it have to be tonight?
Gloat reaches into their pouch and out of their 8 remaining gold pieces, pulls an R2 and goes, I'll pay more for a rush order.
You know what? I'll take it.
Okay. Gloat rolls another sleight of hand check to see if they can slip a 3rd gold piece into the person's hands. And that is fuck off, another nat 20.
Gold goes into the hands, pats it away. Okay, you know what? I will speak to my people. We'll get this turned around before sunset. It's not a big job. We'll just push some things around. Like I say, we're pretty busy at the moment, but I'll see what I can do.
Lastly, armor. I'm looking for armor.
Oh, aye. Well, you've got plenty of that.
She's about this tall. She shoots a bow. And her name is Zell. What kind of armor would you recommend for my friend?
I assume she's looking for something relatively light, something she can stay nimble in.
Yeah, she's quite nimble.
We've got. Well, you know what? How long is your friend Zell sticking around for?
Same time frame as me. We're planning on being out of here by tomorrow night. But we have somewhat important plans for this evening that may or may not involve climbing and armor.
You thrill seekers, I don't really understand it myself, this night climbing. I know it's all the rage up north. I try to stay on the ground myself, or under it, even better. You know what, I think we've got something coming in tomorrow, sometime during the day. We're expecting a delivery. It's from one of the spellsmiths up in Dunarden, and it's a fine piece of work, I tell you that. We've got a couple of different items coming in, but I think we might have something that's just the right thing for her. If you could get her to come in herself, we can sort her out with a fitting, something that would be good for the archery types.
Like, that sounds great, and I hate to push you guys, but my friend Zell, do you have anything I could even possibly rent in the meantime that I promise I'll give back in the morning?
I mean, I have a bit of armor going. Most of our plate is going out, but I've got studded leather armor. I've got some half plate, if that would work. What are you looking for here?
She's about this tall. She shoots a bow, and her name is Zell. I'll trust your expertise on this.
Okay. Have you any idea she's decent with heavier armor, medium armor?
I'd say she's quite medium build.
Okay. Well, what about some decent studded leather? That'll usually sort you out. I could give you some half plate if that, she's willing to wear something a little bit heavier.
She's quite dainty, unlike myself. So I'll take the first one.
Studded leather. I tell you, if you speak to her, I mean, again, it's best to have a little bit more information. If she does decide she prefer the half plate, we can get that sorted as well. But I hear it's. We'll bring that out, and shortly afterwards one of the gnomes emerges with a fine set of well-oiled leather, sort of light leather armor studded with small sort of nubs of black iron.
So how much do I owe you for this piece?
For that, we'd be talking about 7 gold pieces for that. This is pretty good quality stuff.
I'm really sorry. I only have 7 gold pieces on me.
Well, how much have you given me so far?
I think 2, maybe 1 or 2 gold pieces.
Yes. You know what? We could say 5.
Five. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I hand over 7 gold pieces.
She takes that. You don't even need to roll. You roll 2 nat 20s on the last 2 self. The gold slips away, and you're handed this beautiful set of studded leather armor.
Brilliant. My empty coin purse is absolutely thrilled at the idea of having spent all my money for this. Well, thank you, blacksmith person. I'll be back this like sundown for my climbing daggers, or my climbing gauntlets.
Aye. Come around sundown, we should be ready then. You can see in the background like large carts being loaded up, another rattling out with like stacks of boxes in the back as they kind of like rattle out and start going uphill. She goes, but aye, if I'm not around myself, one of the other folks will sort you out.
Perfect. Well, that's wonderful. Gloat then realizes this entire interaction only took about 6 minutes, and they go for a 54-minute run with the leather armor, just like holding it above their head like that because they don't want to once again be deemed a liar.
As you set off running with this armor like hoisted over your head, we'll jump over not that far away to the Crone's Eye apothecary, and we find Zell heading in.
Yeah, perfect. At first, Zell's gonna take her time just having a look around to see what she can see on the shelf, just to see if there's gonna be anything that could be of use to them in the next couple of days.
You notice stepping in immediately, pungent smell of incense in the air, the sweet incense filling the air. It's a very dim environment. The windows are all heavily curtained, and there are these sort of low shuttered lamps that just cast a little sort of hint of a glow around about the counter. But as you walk through, you kind of glance around, you see they have potions of healing for sale. They have a number of potions of resistance to the various different kind of types of damage you might pick up, and a couple of other more sort of specialist potions held behind the counter. They also have a variety of ingredients, rare herbs and items you might use to brew your own potions. You can see there's a very old, twisted woman behind the counter, hunched down kind of like low over the wooden countertop, wearing a long purple robe.
She's gonna take her time just looking around the shelves. She's got a lot of time. And then she's gonna approach the counter and just say, "Hi, I'm looking for a couple of healing potions."
Looking for healing potions, are ya? Well, now I have come to the right place, to the Crone's Eye Apothecary. That's what it's called. Now, are you looking for 1, 2, 3 or more?
Let's just say 2 just now.
2 healing potions coming right up.
And she kind of like reaches up. You see these hands, almost like twisted, gnarled roots running up, kind of like spider-like over the glass bottles behind the counter. And she takes down these 2 cloudy, sort of like deep purpley pink liquids, and places them down the counter and goes,
Now for that, I will need only 70 gold pieces.
Can we call it 60?
60 gold pieces. Well, now I suppose.
give me a persuasion check.
$16.
I suppose for a newcomer in town, and one with such a busy night ahead, I could suppose stretch to 60.
You know about my busy night?
Well, of course. An evening like this, I've no doubt you'll be down at the Bloody Claymore or one of the other taverns, drinking and making merry, of course.
She kind of like coughs something up into her hand and then kind of like wipes it down the front of her gown.
Lovely. Zell tries her best not to look mildly disgusted by that. And she kind of says, I was actually already at the Bloody Claymore, and I was speaking to someone there who mentioned that you're not so fond of the other newcomers to town.
You know, word does tend to get around, doesn't it? But yes, I make no secret of that. Those officious, self-righteous little tyrants Give a man a title, give a man a little shiny brooch, and he acts like he runs the place. I tell you, time will come when they regret ever having heard the name Lochilvin.
Do you think that time might be pretty soon?
She kind of like gives you a little like sideways glance and goes,
I'm only an old woman. It's hard to tell what fate will bring. But I am always an optimist. I think sooner rather than later.
And what I hear that it's not. I hear that it's speaking out against them isn't a good thing. Are you worried? You seem very vocal. I don't like
I'm not worried. It is they who should watch themselves, they who should keep an eye open when they sleep. I am warded against such trouble as I have my ways and means. If one of those wretches so much as lifts a hand to touch me, I will strike it down.
And have they tried?
One of them came round, said that I would do well to come for a little dinner at the castle. I told them I'd eaten my fill already, and that if I looked on that face, the face of Mr. Carlaw, I would surely heave it up. So they took the message and crawled off.
I have a couple of friends in town. We ran into the Silver Thistle a few days ago back at Valach. Let's just say that not all of them left.
That does an old woman's heart good to hear.
And we're thinking about doing something tonight. Is that something you would be interested in helping?
Well, now, I suppose I could be of assistance to you. I try not to mingle and get involved in affairs being run by others, but that being said, this might call for a little intervention. What do you have in mind?
I think we are planning to cause a distraction at the Temple of the Fates to try and draw the guards down from draw the Silver Thistle down from the castle, so that we can potentially drive them out of town.
Do you know what they call me in other places?
No.
Other Whisper is what they call me, for I am always the first to hear of a rumor, and always the first to start one too. If you wish, I could put word around that some strange business is going to occur at the Temple of the Fates.
That would be absolutely wonderful.
Is there a signal of some kind?
I'm not aware of a signal yet, because we didn't discuss that yet. But when I hear, I can come back here and let you know.
Of course.
and she kind of pauses for a moment and then kind of like squints for a moment, kind of claws slightly at one of her eyes like that, and then goes,
The bell, of course. Well, now, you get along with yourself. I'll spread the rumor, and I wish you all the best for tonight. Before you go, I didn't catch your name.
Zal. I go by Zal.
and she kind of reaches inside her cloak and pulls out a very long black raven's feather, dips it in a little jar of ink, and then writes down on the back of her hand. And you can kind of see her writing something. Give me a perception check.
$19.
You see that she writes, like, for a little bit longer than you would expect for Zell, almost as if she's writing a full name out there on her hand, and then she kind of like puts the quill down and goes,
A pleasure to meet you. Round here, I go by another name, Titania.
and reaches out to kind of run a finger down the back of your hand and goes,
Good luck, dearie.
Thank you, Titania. Zell's gonna walk out a little bit dumbfounded by that.
You
Head back.
step back out into the streets, and overhead distantly you hear now for sure this is the your ears do not deceive you. You hear the rumble of thunder in the distance as these black clouds looming overhead begin to drop the first drops of rain of the coming deluge. And as you hurry back downhill to meet your companions and the gloomy clouds build up overhead, the storm about to break, we will end our session there and pick up next week. Thank you very much,
Fantastic.
guys.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited!
I'm going to quickly just say a couple of things. So, for anyone who missed it at the start, the character artwork that you're seeing on screen was made by Jessica Bowen. You can find a link to her page, her Instagram page, down below this video. You can also find a link to the Instagram and Patreon of Nerdius Maximus, who did the incredible music that you're hearing throughout as well. And as I said before, the maps you're seeing on screen, they are made on Incarnate, which has a free version and a premium version if you're after that. We'll be back next week with the next installment of Heroes of the Highlands as our heroes attempt a daring rescue in Castle Lochilvin. Until then, see you soon.